Debbie Cliff super chatted $9.99. YouTube has silenced her for her dark knowledge against the cathedral.
Oh. Let's try that again. What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having an amazing afternoon, evening, morning, or whatever it is in your time zone. It is Tuesday. Did it again. It's Monday for you. Still Monday for you, right, chat? It is Monday, June 9th, 2025. This is NCC TV coming at you live from the steps of the Amami Airport. We are live, or at least that's how it appears to me. Could be a brain in a jar somewhere. Don't know, don't care. Shouts out to all my weasels out there, all my forest creatures rocking out to the realest of the real synthetic life form streamer. Trapped in a cyber brain and body like some kind of ghost in a half shell in this late stage hyper-capitalist dystopia. Forced to exist in this twilight realm to pay off my debt to society and my student loans. I hope you're having a good day, whoever, whatever, wherever, and however you are. We're about to jump right into it here on twitch.tv, youtube.com. High risk, high reward, high on life, or whatever simulation, simulacrum, simultaneous, spontaneous singularity of consciousness. This is, was, or will be sometime in the distant cyber future. It's Tuesday. Wait, what? I'm so confused. Wait, it's not Tuesday in the part of the US that matters. Oh my God. East Coast elitists in chat. Davi, despite the fact that you are a East Coast elitist, thank you so much for making me aware that of all the things that I did to try to put this stream together today, the one thing I forgot to do was hit the unmute button. That's kind of important. It should not be an F. Oh my God. Oh my God. Do we really have Fs in chat? Do we really have Fs in chat? Let's check. No, it looks like we don't, right? We're good. It's Monday. It's Monday. It's Monday. Look, and even if it's not Monday for you, even if you're an East Coast elitist, right? It's not... It's 12:30 a.m. Do you really consider 12:38? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're staying up on a Monday night and you look at the clock and it says 12:30, do you really think, do you really think to yourself, like, this is actually Tuesday? I'm sorry, I can no longer call it Monday. Do you think of midnight? Anyway, chat, I'm just complaining. I'm just complaining. My hair looks really pretty like this. It's a hot mess, and so am I. As many in the vertical chat are complaining currently. Well, that's okay, vertical chat. We know that you're all supermodels, so yeah. But that's pretty cool, how quickly we got started, how quickly we got people in chat, and how quickly I've got trolls to deal with. So we'll be using those trolls, we'll be monetizing those trolls, we'll be playing with those trolls today on stream. I am fucking thirsty though. I gotta get something. Can I make this happen? I guess. What do I have here, chat? Yeah, hey, trolls, I would suggest maybe don't blow your load right away. You know what I mean? I know I'm exciting, but, you know, like, I don't know. You're acting a little premature here, trolls. You're not going to get to play. There we go. There we go. Huh. So what are we at day 4? Day 4 here. I don't even know what to do, chat. I don't even know what to do. It can't even last longer than 5 seconds. I know, right? Is that my natural hair color? Yes. All right, so so yeah, we got the latest breaking news about the LA protests has to do with the National Guard that Donald Trump sent in. So look, any dumbass can send the National Guard in, can federalize the National Guard, send them in to a major American city, but it takes a profound dumbass like Donald Trump to do that without any money for their food, for their water, for their lodgings. You know where their lodgings are? They're sleeping on top of each other. The National Guard. Yeah. Trump cares about our soldiers so much. So much. He's so concerned with the welfare of our fighting men and women that those people are like in a warehouse or something. I don't even know what is this thing, chat. Let's see if we can get this on both screens here. Add scene? No, I don't want to add scene. Add something else. There we go, chat. This is what I'm looking for here. Look at this. This is how the National Guard are sleeping right now. Do you see this? Here, let me like broaden it out a little bit for you. That is your Secretary of Defense, who has now sent troops into a major American city whose mayor and whose governor did not request the National Guard. They've federalized these soldiers for the next 30 days, and yeah, they're not taking care of them, as you can see. That's the actual state of things, right? The quote that you see is from Gavin Newsom. That is the governor of California. Although I didn't put his name on there because, I mean, he's an embarrassment. Let's be real. Gutless Gavin. Trump is making you look good. Trump is making Gavin Newsom look good in comparison. That's quite an accomplishment. The people of California, we're kind of done with Gavin Newsom. Up until this point. And now he's looking like their savior. All right, so what are we looking at down here? This is the current image of what's going on in LA. Let's see if we got sound for this. Brenda Meredith, who spelled your name wrong, I think. Send the governor to Mexico. The Trump administration is talking about, they're talking a lot of shit about arresting the governor. I don't know what they could charge the governor with. I don't think the governor has committed any crimes. The governor's definitely not responsible. Look, as bad as gruesome Gavin Newsom is, and I am no fan of them. I hate Gavin Newsom on like almost personal level. And I gotta check myself sometimes because, you know, it's just like, it's more about how he is than what he does or who he is. But yeah, he's a gross guy. He looks like a used car salesman. He's too slick. And he's just kind of gross, but what is going on? Why did we stop? AP, fix your shit. Fix your stream. Fix your stream, AP. All right, let's roll it back to see what happened before this. You know, I really should have started streaming earlier because the protesters were dancing. Yeah, so no, this is the one kind of scene that we haven't really gotten to see a lot of, right? This is what most of the protest is. You are seeing some respirators amongst the crowd. That is because tear gas has been deployed. And the strange thing, chat, is it almost feels like the less violent that a section of the protest is, the more likely you are to see tear gas, flashbangs, rubber bullets, etc. be deployed. We saw yesterday when the feds shot an Australian reporter in the leg while she was trying to talk to camera. So where are the cops? Well, they're wherever peaceful protests are, trying to break them up, trying to antagonize people, trying to turn those protests violent, to have an excuse to shut things down. So we're going back in time here because the AP's feed is currently screwed up. And I just wanted to show you some of the stuff that had happened today. Some of the scenes that, yeah, you're not going to see the media really concentrate on stuff like this nearly as much. And that's because with local news especially, there's a rule. The rule is if it leads, it bleeds. Sorry, if it bleeds, it leads, right? They want to see fighting, they want to see fire, they want to see destruction of property, and if they can find that, they'll focus on that. Never mind the violence brought to LA by the ICE themselves. This country is a joke, Kaylella. LA will be no more, says Aiden Sanders. Aiden, at this point, the United States will be no more. At this point, we're looking at the balkanization of the United States. If Trump insists on pushing this theater of cruelty, which is essentially what we've got going on with ICE, is a type of theater of cruelty. If Trump insists on sticking on this, it's going to be his undoing. His administration and the absolute thugs that he has empowered to go into our communities and take out everyday citizens, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, cousins, etc. Just trying to live their fucking life. You're going to end up with a future that looks very, very different. Unrecognizable, chat. Unrecognizable from the world we now know.
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
And as much as we've seen politicians, wow.
But now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
Unpopular today. As much as I'm gonna give the communist invading radicals a chance to invade. Okay, we got the communist invading radicals in here. Good. Good. There's just not a lot of incentive for the fourth biggest economy in the world. And chat, when I say the fourth biggest economy in the world, I'm talking about the state of California. for all the doomsaying about California, if it were to break away and be its own nation, it would be the nation with the fourth biggest economy. Now, that's not foreshadowing, but it might be. I mean, we'll see how this shakes out.
Well, sometimes they fire them out of the orange ones, but they can shoot foam rounds. They're like little black, foam.
Only a communist would call people they don't agree with communists. Is that right, Jeremy? Does that make me a communist? I feel like I'm calling people I agree with communists, though. What does that mean, Jeremy? Big tech would leave? Don't threaten me with a good time, Peter Thiel. Anyway, chat, we're I'm wanting to show you you know, what's going on currently. Let's see if the AP has fixed its shit. They have not. I think that stream might have ended. But yeah, we've been watching a lot of what goes on at night. Some of that tends to be on more towards the sensationalistic side, more towards the violent side. What we haven't really taken a look at yet was what happens during the day. Which, I mean, you're looking at the protest, right? When you're talking about the protest, when you're talking about the demonstration, you're talking about this shit. Okay, so there's the National Guard, who did not have a good night's sleep. They have not been getting a good night's sleep, chat, because Trump forgot to order any kind of accommodations for them, any place for them to stay. They're literally sleeping on each other. He forgot to requisition food, water, fuel. Yeah, they're kind of fucked. And there's a real question at the end of the day, chat. Now, so I want you to understand this. All right? These cops are standing in front of a federal building. That's what they're... Sorry, cops. These soldiers are standing in front of a federal building. Right? That's what they're allowed to do. They're allowed to protect a federal building. They're allowed to protect federal employees. Right now, that's it. They're not here to put down the protests. They're not here to turn their guns against their fellow citizens.
No ICE, no KKK, no fascist USA.
They're here to stand in front of a building, essentially. Which should cue you in to the real role, the real reason that Trump ordered these people here. It is performative. It is theater. It is reality television. Trump wants you to think that by virtue of the fact that the California National Guard has been federalized and summoned, that shit is more out of control than it actually is. He also wants the militarized presence of the ICE stormtroopers, the National Guard, and, you know, the federal... the federal law enforcement that's been mobilized. He wants that to antagonize the protesters. Right? Because in general, with protests, this is how they work, all right? People get mad about something. In this case, people are mad that ICE came in.
But now there are freaking communists invading radical.
ICE came in, and instead of you know, doing what Trump said that you know, his mission was, deporting violent criminals, they came in and they picked up people's aunts, uncles, fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, cousins. Just random people standing at Home Depot trying to do some day labor. People at their jobs, contributing to the economy, and yes, paying taxes. But chat, before you even ask, before anybody from Shorts chat even asks, no, they're not receiving any kind of benefits, right? That's the whole thing when you are, when you're undocumented. You do have to pay taxes, but you don't really get anything back from those taxes. And you're doing the jobs, not that, not jobs that you're taking from other Americans, but the jobs that other Americans do not want to do themselves. So yeah, we got about 6 hours that I'm going to kind of shuffle through a little bit. I just want to give you a flavor of what's going on in the protests during the day. And this is about as confrontational as what we're going to see during the day. They're standing in front of the federal building, I believe, because that's where the prisoners, that's where the people that ICE has kidnapped and disappeared are being held under some pretty bad conditions. And they're saying free them all. You can see a lot in this picture. You can see some Mexican flags. You can see some flags that are American flags and Mexican flags, and you're going to see the kafia. You're going to see the presence of pro-Palestinian protesters in solidarity with the victims of ICE, with the victims of the Trump administration. Some of this chat is golden. I'm reading the AP's chat. People are saying things like ICE keeps you small. Oh yeah, it's a rooster emoji. ICE keeps your small rooster emojis hard. Wait, what? I thought they were gonna say it makes them small. But your job. All right, so here's what they want, right? If your job is making people miserable, if your job is tearing apart communities, then maybe you should think about quitting your job. Some people might say that ICE is just doing their job. The federal law enforcement is just doing their job. I want to remind you that at the end of the day, chat, in Nazi Germany, just doing your job, just following orders was not an excuse. Now, that's not me conflating, people that are at the bottom of the chain of command or at the middle of the chain of command with the architects of this fucking nightmare who will face justice on their own terms and a much more severe form of justice, right? But we're talking about some accountability. Some accountability of people doing things that they should know, following orders that they should know to be illegal. Chat, you don't have to follow an illegal order. You don't have to stay at a job that requires you to be a monster. And the most satisfactory ending for this whole conflict would be the people that are tasked with these grim duties quitting their jobs, walking away, and leaving Trump without adequate personnel. Abandon his ass. Let him fight his own battles. He's picked a battle. He's picking battles with more and more people, chat. And at the end of the day, those chickens are going to come home to roost. And they're going to roost right in Donald's hair. They're going to find a nice place to make a nice little bird's nest in his hair.
So it wasn't easy. If we were Mexico City, I would have been here once. I go to Dallas, having layovers,
MAGA out of LA.
Stop the deportation.
Stop the deportations.
Stop the deportation. 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 Stop the deportation.
Like I couldn't catch him, I was ready.
Yeah, so I'm scanning through this chat, you know, partly because I want to show you kind of the depth and breadth of what actually goes on at one of these protests. What you're going to see from the media is going to be cherry-picked, right? And it's cherry-picked for what is most exciting, what is most sensationalistic, you know, what will get clicks, essentially. And as you can see, a lot of what's going on at the protests, I'm going to be honest, is kind of boring. Look at that. That's boring. Nobody's getting hurt. No property's getting destroyed. People waving flags in front of a, I think is that still the federal building? Yeah, we're getting kind of a top-down view here, right? So yeah, I'm not going to stick on this too long.
But now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
Because I'm not trying to bore you.
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
But what I do want to do is give you a better sense of what's
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist
what's actually going on in LA. Because I feel like depending on where you watch, or depending on where, I don't know, your parents watch, is it Fox News maybe? They're going to get a very different idea of what's going on. I think the biggest thing I've heard people complain about is the Mexican flags, right? And they'll say things like, this is America, not Mexico. If you love the Mexican flag so much, why don't you go to Mexico? And the thing about this is, chat, if you know your history like I do, you know that a lot of these people in Southern California, they didn't cross the border. That's right. They didn't cross the border. The border crossed them. California, Oregon, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas used to be part of Mexico. And what seems to be getting people targeted by the Trump administration is not so much their national, it's not their criminal status. It's not whether they're dangerous, violent criminals, right? Despite all of the moral panic that's gone on, undocumented people in this country commit crime at a far lower rate than citizens of the United States. So it's not criminality. It's not actually even nationality, because a lot of the people that ISIS have picked up have proven to be American citizens. They will show ICE their birth certificate, and ICE will be, that's a fake birth certificate. The fake news media, just like Barack Obama's birth certificate was fake. That's a fake birth certificate. But no, it turns out to be a real birth certificate, and they eventually, you know, hopefully get freed if the Trump administration isn't successful in deporting them to some hellhole in El Salvador before they can even see a judge or an attorney. But what's getting these people targeted oftentimes is their skin color. And like I said, for a lot of Latinos in Southern California, this is not only their home, this is their parents' home, this is their grandparents' home, this is their great-great-grandparents' home. Again, these people didn't cross the border crossed them. And let's talk about the people that do cross the border, right? Let's talk about undocumented people in the United States and why they're here. Oftentimes, like in the case of Honduras, like in the case of Haiti, like in the case of Venezuela, these people didn't leave their homes to, I don't know, like, fuck with you, right? They didn't leave their homes to piss you off. They didn't all get together and say, hey, let's go invade the United States and take it over, right? LA was already a majority-minority city. They left because their country got fucked up, and it got fucked up a lot of times by the United States. United States foreign policy, particularly Trump's foreign policy, when we're talking about countries like Venezuela, is what made those countries unlivable. And so if you don't want waves of immigration, and more to the point, waves of asylum seekers, you got to start electing better politicians. Now, I wish I could tell you, just vote Democrat. Right? And that'll be your better politicians. The Democrats, they have good foreign policy, and they're not going to, you know, treat the rest of the Western Hemisphere, Central and South America, like, you know, their own personal backyard. But it's unfortunately, Democrats make bad decisions too. As far as deportation goes, who holds the world record? Is it Donald Trump? No, it's not. Donald Trump's actually having trouble deporting the number of people that he wants to deport. That's why these actions are going on. He set out a goal to deport 1 million people, and he gave you the idea that there's 1 million violent, criminal, illegal immigrants in this country. That's not true, and that's why they have to go into Home Depot. That's why they have to go fuck with people at work. They're behind on their deportation quota. And yeah, like I said, Democrats aren't great either. Barack Obama was the deporter-in-chief. He holds the record, right? Biden deported a fuckload of people. Kamala Harris herself famously said, when asked about immigrants seeking a better life in the United States, do not come. Do not come. Okay, so now this is where it gets interesting, right? I told you that protests are kind of boring, and I didn't lie to you. That's why I'm scrolling through it so fast, right? I would bore you to tears. You would leave my stream if I just watched it like all the way through, because it's kind of boring. You're not seeing people, you know, shooting firecrackers at the National Guard. You're not seeing, you know, anything, you know, remotely interesting in a lot of places, right? So it's boring, but it's for a purpose. They're there for a purpose, right? They're there to let the Trump administration know that they can't get away with targeting people's family, with targeting law-abiding people, hardworking people. But you gotta somehow make it interesting. And you can hear in the background, we got some music, right? We got some music. And this is my favorite kind of protest, is a musical protest. I think it's highly underrated. One of the first protests I ever went to myself, chat, was actually a dance party. A dance party in the middle of an impromptu dance party in the middle of the street was how this thing got thrown. I didn't even know that I was going to a protest. I actually got asked on a date. And when I arrived where I was supposed to meet my date, it turned out it was a protest, right? I was completely overdressed. I was completely overdressed, but I stayed, I hung out, and I actually had a lot of fun. But when it got to the point where, you know, we took the streets, we danced our asses off, and then we kept marching down the streets, and we eventually ran into, you know, some very militarized looking cops. At that point, I got the fear, and I told my date, I got to get out of here. It's not easy. Confronting justice is not easy. And it's a little bit scary. Because like I told you, chat, despite how peaceful these protests are, it almost feels like the more peaceful they are, the more likely they are to be met with violence. And that is for multiple reasons, right? Whenever there's violence at protests, nobody's really keeping track in the media. Nobody watching images, nobody watching clips is really keeping track of who started it. And in every single case, it is the cops. It is the cops that fire tear gas into peaceful crowds. For two reasons, right? One, to make the situation look less peaceful. It all automatically does. And two, to provoke a reaction. Because if they get a reaction, then they've got the ability to really go to town on people. And again, to portray the protest as being less than peaceful. Less peaceful than it actually is. So yeah, amongst the law enforcement, you've got several different factions. I'm not sure who we're looking at here, right? But you do have the LAPD in certain places. Now, my understanding is that Paramount, or parts of Paramount at least, are not in the jurisdiction of the LAPD. So some of these may be sheriff's deputies as well. Right? So you've got the local cops, right? For lack of a better term. You got the local cops here. And they're going to be a little bit less militarized looking. They're going to be a little slower to react to the crowds with anything that might cause an escalation. Because in general, they want the protesters to release some steam and eventually to fade away. That is what you do if you want a protest to run out of steam. And it's really hard to keep something like this going, right? There was an agitation by the Trump administration. They have torn apart families. And a lot of people, you know somebody who knows somebody who got disappeared, right? But eventually, these kind of things sort of fade away on their own. And that's what the LA cops seem to be hoping for. Now, I wish I could tell you that that was the overall goal of law enforcement in general at this protest, but unfortunately, we have other factions with very different agendas, right? We saw the woman, the Australian. Let's see if we can get this. Australian journalist. Reporter. All right, here we go. Thank you for the super chats. I will get to those in a second. I'll go and look at those super chats and read those all off. Thank you for the support, though. I appreciate you. All right, so here's our Australian friend at the protest. You see that shit? It's really hard to argue that that's not intentional. And look, I'm not trying to, put names to faces as far as, anybody here goes. From what I've seen on Twitter, that could be pretty dangerous, right? But somebody's going to find out who this asshole is. And that's fucking inexcusable right there. You couldn't tell. These are the feds. These are the feds. They want shit to get messy. They want shit to get violent. They're the ones shooting the tear gas first. They're the ones aiming their, non-lethal ordinances, whether they be beanbags, whether they be flashbangs, whether they be rubber bullets, which, it's a little bit of a misnomer, chat. It's not actually a rubber bullet, right? It's a rubber stopper. I don't know. It's a big ass heavy thing, right? It's a big ass heavy thing. And it's supposed to be shot at the ground. The idea of these rubber bullets, quote unquote, right, is that you shoot them at the ground, they bounce off the ground, they lose a little bit of their, they lose a little bit of their energy, right? And they're gonna, maybe hit somebody, but it's gonna surprise them. The idea is to disperse a crowd, right? That's what they're supposed to be used for. Look at what this guy does, though. Look at what Trump's Gestapo is doing in LA. And please, understand why LA is reacting like this.
LA.
That's a reporter, chat. That's a reporter. That's very clearly a reporter. Imagine what they're doing to protesters, right? Imagine what they're doing when there's no camera on. This is what LA is up against right now, right? Wait. Look at this. There's a chud that's like, oh, she got what she deserves. She stroll into the middle of a riot like it's a red carpet event and then cries when she gets clipped by a rubber bullet. She didn't get clipped, chat. She got shot in the back of the knee. That motherfucker was trying to injure her. That's the popliteal region, right? Right behind your knee. That's a very vulnerable place. It looks like maybe she got hit in the calf, which is going to give her a bad bruise and it's going to hurt like hell. But at least it's not, he was aiming way too close to, her joint, and not just her joint, but like the more vulnerable part of your joint, chat. Getting hit in the knee, getting hit in the eye, getting hit in the temple, getting hit, right down here in the mandible, just like the same places that you wouldn't want to get, kicked in MMA, or the same places that you wouldn't want to get punched in MMA, right? That will do some damage, right? And that's why this is not how you're supposed to use these weapons, right? But that's what we got. That's what we got going on right now. And again, a lot of this protest is boring. This is what they're calling a riot, by the way. Right? And when you say it's a riot, you're confusing scenes like this, protesters like this, with people who knows who the fuck they are. Who knows what their intentions are? Right? But you can kind of tell what the intentions are here, and the intention is ICE out of LA. MAGA out of SoCal. Okay, so it looks like there's... Is this a skirmish line that they're forming? Kind of pushing people away from the federal building? I mean, this has essentially been what the protests are, right? People got snatched up by ICE. They're being held in I don't know if this is the building where they're being held or if this is the federal building. But yeah, this has been the focus of the protest, right? Let our people go. Okay, I should probably check some super chats at this point. Let me do that. We've got enough super chats built up at this point. Davy Cliff, yeah, thank you for letting me know that YouTube silenced me early on because I forgot to hit the unmute button. I'm being silenced, chat. I'm being canceled. FEMA did a lot of logistics for the National Guard. Wait, FEMA did... Oh, yeah, and they kind of shut down FEMA. I mean, not entirely, but FEMA is one of the Trump administration's targets. Thank you for that super chat, Davy Cliff. The French tactic of protest suppression. I should have read that when you said it. Just so you understand, chat, the super chats that are more than $5 get read out by TTS. The ones that are less than $5 get read out by me later. So if you got something that's timely, it might be worth the extra cent to make it a $5 super chat. I don't know. Omega Star says protests are always more boring than riots, right? Well, reality, yeah, is a lot more boring than the narrative that Trump is trying to sell. The distortion of reality that the Trump administration is trying to push.
Watch your back, man. Watch your back. Watch yourself. Leave the area.
Can I join that media crew?
I don't even know who you're with.
That's okay. Watch them. Watch them.
Oh, so people are saying this isn't live. No, the AP had an issue. The AP had an issue with their stream. So I went ahead and took you back to what I want to show you what the protest looks like. Right? Yeah, right. You are correct that right now it's nighttime in LA. Right now it's 10 p.m. in Los Angeles, right? But the reason I'm doing this is to show you, you know, what is actually going on. What are we at? We're at 25 right now. Again, chat, things started off really weird today because of I accidentally started stream right away instead of what I usually like to do is start off my horizontal stream, talk to chat a little bit, and then you know, when we get into a political issue or we get into like a news issue, a world events issue, something like that, that's when we switch to we turn on the vertical chat. Because people that are here for shorts chat, they're not here for long. You're flipping around, you're watching shorts, you come upon my stream, you make a comment maybe. But, you know, if there's not action, you're not going to stick around. So I got to keep this action moving. I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing. There's like 8 hours of this, chat. Wait, let me check and see how many. Oh, sorry, 7 hours. There's 7 hours in this stream of, you know, what the, mostly you're seeing, like, you know, what the protest is actually like, what it would be like to be here, in other words, right? Because the way that you see this portrayed on Fox News, the way you see this portrayed in right-wing media, you would think that everything would be on fire. You would think that people would be trying to literally kill you for existing there, that it's the purge, right? And I'm here to show you that it's not the fucking purge. It's actually kind of boring. But it's important. It's important nonetheless. All right, so we're just going to scroll through here. I'm going to give you an idea of... I'm tempted to turn the volume up so you can hear what the protesters are saying. That's a little bit dangerous because I don't know what somebody's gonna say. And also, you know, if I turn up the volume on this, then the next scene will be like really loud or something. It'll be a helicopter and I'll blow out everybody's eardrums.
They're gonna fucking send your ass back as soon as you take off that badge. You don't see the badge? They don't know. You think that you're one of them, but you're not. They don't protect you. No one likes you. Your grandmama doesn't like you. Your mama doesn't like you. Your granddaddy doesn't like you. No one fucking likes you. You're sick. Making no one proud today.
You're making no one proud today. So the protesters talking about the you know, the way that these people's families maybe feel about them. I don't know. It probably depends on the officer, right? But yeah, there are definitely people here today that may somewhere in the back of their mind have some regret of being part of this. Now, I'm Los Angeles Police. Okay, LAPD. Again, like, I just want you to understand the difference between the different contingents of law enforcement that we're going to see here today. This is the LAPD, or at least that woman, you know, has a Los Angeles Police badge on her shoulder, right? So in general, the LAPD, you know, is going to be, you know, moving protesters around, you know, keeping them away from buildings and stuff like that. But in general, they want to de-escalate. You can see that these cops are, although they do have like face shields and stuff, they're the least militarized looking, you know, cops that you're going to see out here are the locals, the Los Angeles Police Department, the sheriff's deputies, people like this. Because again, they are, you know, local cops, and they want people to. They want people, the only way that a protest ends is if people vent, is if people get to vent, right? And it doesn't get escalated. Escalating protests, and that just means, chat, even showing up with military vehicles, which the LAPD do have. And they sometimes do show up with military vehicles, but that is going to escalate the situation. The more, you know, garb they're in, the more they look like, you know, riot police or like, a SWAT team, or, you know, militarized, the more likely you're going to get a, you know, violent reaction from elements of the crowd. And these cops don't want that. But you know who does want that? Donald Trump. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Department of Homeland Security. The real invaders, chat, here. The real invasion that's going on is an invasion of the feds into LA. And they don't want peace. They don't want, you know, they want shit to get out of hand because it gives them more of an excuse to go hard on the protesters, right? Not that they need it. They're the ones that have been shooting tear gas. There's the ones that have been, you know, shot that lady with the rubber bullet. But again, chat, I'm showing you this, despite the fact that it's boring, to give you a sense of what the protest is really like in a moment by moment kind of thing. I'm gonna scroll through here because, like somebody mentioned earlier, this is not live, right? If you know the United States, you know that right now in LA it's at 10 o'clock, so it's dark, and we will catch up with present time, present day as soon as I can. You can tell by the fact that everybody's got either a mask, a handkerchief, or a respirator on. You can tell how much they've been dealing, despite the fact that these are the, you know, peaceful elements just protesting, just demonstrating, right? You can tell how much they've been exposed to things like tear gas by the fact that there's so many respirators in the crowd. Oh my God, I wonder what the story behind her crutches are. I mean, who knows, chat? Maybe she broke her ankle, you know, apart from the protest. But it kind when somebody's at a protest with a crutch, it kind of makes it look like maybe they got those crutches through an encounter with the federal law enforcement here. I don't want to paint the LAPD like they're angels. They're not. It is a troubled police department which has been at odds with the Los Angeles community for decades, chat. Decades, going back to like you know, the 90s and before. The people that are cops are, you know, they tend to be people from outside of the community, right? So even the police presence in LA on the regular feels a little bit like an occupation to people. And yeah, they've had you know, verified allegations of racism, right? OJ Simpson. Let's talk about OJ Simpson for a second, right? Yeah, the reason that OJ Simpson did not get convicted, the reason that OJ Simpson walked free despite probably killing 2 people, was not because LA is, I don't know, afraid to cast down a sentence on a black man or something like that, or even on a famous, you know, sports star who's black, right? It's not anything like that. It's because one of the main cops that was part of the investigation on OJ Simpson turned out to be an actual white supremacist. There was a little bit of a conflict of interest in the investigation team, right? And when you've got that situation where the person that you're relying on for testimony is not credible because they are they're part of a hate group, right? Then yeah, it's kind of hard to convict somebody. Even with all the, you know, I mean, you know, it's pretty obvious to anyone that OJ in all likelihood did it. I mean, he even wrote a book after the fact, If I Did It. But yeah, it's because they had racist cops on the LAPD that OJ walked free. Anyway, chat, like I said, boring protest. Okay, this is a little bit less boring. They're pushing people down the street. So yeah, it's a little bit more antagonism in the crowd now, and you can see it's like it's multiple movements here, right? There's you know, pro-Palestinian protesters that have showed up in solidarity. Oh my God. What's going on there? Let's try to... Okay, so this is a little bit closer to what we're used to seeing as far as the protests. There's definitely a confrontation going on here. The cops are pushing people down the street. People obviously don't like that. Like I said, there's you know, there's more obvious antagonism in this scene. We're about 3 hours behind the ending of this broadcast. When we get through this, chat, I'll try to take us. I wanted to show you one thing, right? This morning when I turned on the feed to see what was going on in the protests, right? I actually saw people dancing around, which was kind of like there was like a little impromptu dance-off going on, right? Because like I said, protests are boring. And one of the biggest challenges during a protest, because you want to be out there, you don't want to just come out there and then like leave, right? You know, you're down for the cause, right? You want things to change, right? So you want to stay out there and protest. But again, like I said, protests are boring.
But now there are freaking communists invading Mexico.
So you got to figure out something to do that's not boring. Your prez is a pedo. That's what that sign said. Elon's done some real damage to our boy Donald Trump with the Trumpstein revelations. Although, if you've been watching my channel, you knew about the Trumpstein thing already, right? I've covered that extensively. All the evidence pointing towards involvement between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. And then sometimes you'll have QAnon people who say, no, Donald Trump is actually, he was undercover. He was pretending to be one of the pedos to catch the pedo, right? And it's just like, okay, does that mean that he's indulging in you know, the stuff that pedos like Epstein are into? Just to make sure, you know, don't want to tip Jeffrey off. One wants to know, do we have an MRA in here? Probably. You can tell that this part's gonna, Asmongold's gonna get this part, right? This is what chuds like to make fun of. Oh, like, oh yeah, it's a peaceful protest, and then they'll show a picture of a Waymo on fire. But again, chat, this is, you know, the National Guard and the local authorities are not going to be firing, you know, as many, you know, they're not the ones escalating things, right? The National Guard is literally just there to stand in front of the building, right? They don't even have the authorization to do anything in terms of like crowd control, and unless Trump, you know, invokes the Insurrection Act, which he has not done yet. In fact, the thing that he did to take charge of the National Guard has become the subject of some dispute. Whether a president is allowed to, in general, if you want to federalize the National Guard, you want to send in the National Guard, federalize the National Guard, send it into an area without the permission of the governor, right? That has happened before, chat. That there is some precedent for that, but it's been like 60 years. We're talking about the implementation of Supreme Court decisions like Brown versus Board of Education, right? That's when that you know, that is around the last time that you know, something like this happened. And in that case, you know, it was done in a different way, right? Donald Trump has not followed those protocols, and there's some question whether Trump actually can do this without invoking the Insurrection Act, which he hasn't done already. So the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, we'll get to him later, all right? I hate that Trump is making Gavin Newsom look good, because he's one of my least favorite politicians. I fucking hate Gavin Newsom, all right? But he is saying some of the right shit at the moment, and he is really playing off of Trump's, you know, he's really using Trump as a foil here. I had written off his presidential campaign for 2028, and I think this might bring him back into contention. If you don't know, Gavin Newsom created a podcast, right? Because the Democrats think they are going to podcast their way out of unpopularity. Rather than trying to be authentic, which they're not, rather than picking politicians who aren't fucking geriatric or in the tank for the establishment, the Democrats would rather, I don't know, create some kind of mutant Joe Rogan in a tank, because they think that Joe Rogan is the reason that Republicans won in 2024.
What's wrong, Trigger Finger? What am I doing?
No tax breaks.
Why, Trigger Finger?
No way, bro.
Because you're getting upset?
Tell you what, that comes any closer to me and there's going to be a problem.
I bet you won it, dog.
What does her shirt say? Cluxbusters? Yeah. This is an interesting protester, chat. Her sign says Nazis were just following orders, quote unquote following, air quotes. Her shirt says Cluxbusters. I think that's a Ku Klux Klan member inside the Ghostbusters logo. So, you know, instead of like anti-ghost, it's anti
Because you're probably like, what, 5'6"?
But like I said, chat, it's very boring. It's like war. Protesting is boring in the same way that war is boring. That's not to say... Here, I'll try to actually read, Poll is not up. That's true. Okay, we got to get the poll going. Again, sorry, chat. What's going on? What just happened?
They pushed us down the street.
There we go.
Into, like, some of the Japanese restaurants.
Peaceful protest.
Well, I'm covering the boring part of the protest because I know that the media is not going to. Okay, so there we go. There's a confrontation. This is a little bit less boring. So, like I said before, chat, the local law enforcement, their goal seems to be to de-escalate and to allow people to vent and to allow the protest to run its normal course. And in general, when you do that, the protest will end, right? At some point, it'll run out of steam, right? If there's no more agitation, like the agitation that ICE did the other day, then the protests will kind of just end on their own, right? They'll run their course and they'll end, right? That's not what happened with the federal law enforcement, who has antagonized the fuck out of these protesters. And for that reason, you've seen escalating severity in terms of the burning of the Waymos, the dumpster fire in the intersection, people destroying property, people throwing cinder blocks, all the other stuff, right? You've seen more and more of that, right? So you've seen, again, I want you to understand, we're looking at tens of thousands of people here completely peacefully protesting, right? At night, you will see, hundreds of protesters, and agitators of all different varieties, right? We don't really know, when somebody's an agitator, all we really know is that they're agitating. Are they sympathetic to the protests? Are they maybe sympathetic to the ICE and trying to give ICE some ammunition? You don't really know what's going on, with those people and what their motivation is. But the other thing that we've seen is that now the protests are not limited to Los Angeles. Santa Ana I'm looking at a live feed of Santa Ana protesting against ICE raids. We've seen, I think was it Dallas? It's somewhere in Texas. And actually Ohio, chat. There's a protest in Ohio. We'll see if we get a chance. I mean, nobody protests quite like Ohio does, so it's very Ohio. But yeah, we'll take a look at some of those other cities later on as well. See, look at that. Bubbles. Yeah, this is a really scary riot here, chat. Look at this scary riot. They're blowing bubbles at the officers. How dare you? How dare you, ma'am? Or sir, I can't tell who's got the, ma'am. I don't know. I shouldn't assume, right, chat? But that person is blowing, bubbles at the cops. There we go. That's the scary, violent, rioter with a bubble wand. Like I said, chat, protests are boring. You gotta find some way to entertain yourself.
But now there are freaking communists invading radicals.
And this person seems to be entertaining the cops a little bit too. I don't know. I feel like look, chat, I would never be a cop, but if I was one, I would want people to blow bubbles at me. That'd be the highlight of my day. The boring ass protest duty. Somebody blows bubbles at you, it's probably the highlight of your day. Oh, look, there's an MF Doom shirt. Okay, so a lot of this, like, I'm gonna try to go a little faster through here. You can see the sun starting to go down in LA here. We're getting closer to catching up with the actual time that it is. I want to see if I can find that, the dance party. Oh, look at that. They got pizza. Somebody brought pizza. One of the best things you could do at a protest is order pizza for people. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Chat, this is what I'm talking about. Look, this is about to be the highlight of my day here, all right? The protesters are ready to throw down. They're ready to have a little dance off here. Because like I said, it's very boring. You gotta find a way to entertain yourself. You gotta find a way to entertain the crowd. And here we go, chat.
Mary.
You gotta keep those vibes. You gotta keep those vibes good.
Protests, almost by definition, are points of contention between citizens. Protests, almost by
This is what I'm talking about. Now, hopefully I'm not going to get popped for copyright here. Oh yeah, we're having a little party. Omega Star, thank you for the gifted sub on Twitch to Path Test. Path Test, you just got jellyfished. There we go. There... Chat, this is a very violent riot. I'm scared. I'm scared by the violent way that these protesters are dancing. Free Palestine and the Epstein files. Hey, good thought there, Unami. I'm glad I'm in Florida right now, says Brick Place. I know, I'd be threatened. If I was out here, I'd be so scared. I'd be so scared by these violent protesters. With their dance moves, right? I don't think I could keep up with these dance moves, chat. I feel like they would serve me. If I was a MAGA If I was an Asmongold fan, like some of you in chat obviously are. Any Asmongold fan? One in chat if you love Asmongold. I want to see if we got Asmon. What do you people call your what do you call fans of Asmongold? Roaches or something? I don't know. But anyway, chat, yeah, I would be worried I was gonna get served with some sick dance moves. There's zero chance you keep up with those moves. You're right, Lissation. You're right. I don't have moves like that. I would get served. 2. Oh, wow. Some people really don't like Asmongold. Roach Army, rise up. Just see Asmongold occasionally on my Twitch feed. Yeah, he's the guy with the booger wall, Arizona Ranger. Hope you come to Christ, my friend. The 3 answer 1. Hope you come to Asmongold. The real Christ. Is that who you mean by Christ? Is Chat, my theory is that Asmongold might actually be Jesus Christ. Like, what do you think, chat? Could he be the second coming? And maybe he just got into video games this time, so it kind of, instead of, you know, turning water to wine, walking on water, what else is Jesus supposed to do? Instead of all that shit, chat, he just played Jesus just played World of Warcraft, and he made an alarm clock out of a dead rat. Yeah, the blood wall. Oh, I'm sorry, Penstab. It's the blood wall. Wow, chat really knows a lot about Asmongold. People will yap about, wait, about who? Me needing a haircut? I just got one. Do I need a haircut already? I literally just got one. And he saved me? Asmongold saved me? Yeah, Jesus would love WoW, unironically. Jesus would refuse to drink water, opting for soda instead. Read the Bible? It says XDLSD. I did. You want my review? Here's the deal. I liked the Old Testament, right? The Old Testament was exciting, except for the Book of Numbers. It got boring at the Book of Numbers. I was kind of, you know, I wasn't such a fan of Numbers, right? But the rest of the book, the Old Testament is pretty good. The New Testament, I just couldn't get into it. So I skipped to the Book of Revelations. That shit is quite entertaining, though. Yeah, I got a haircut. Thank you, chat. If anybody wants to pay for my haircut, you can super chat to encourage me to cut my hair if that's what you would like, chat. But the problem is it's hot as fuck where I am right now. And I didn't really get a chance. Oh my god, chat. It is so hot. Yeah, that is bad. I can see why chat's saying I need a haircut. I can see why chat's saying that. I've literally, like, my back is sweating. And my hair's getting wet, which really messes it up. No, what I need to do is, like, fix my hair. I need to style my hair. Yo, Louise, thanks for the super chat. See, this is my favorite part of the protest so far. Like I said, it's pretty boring, most of it, right? And chat, like, I just scrolled through, I don't know, this is 7 hours of protest, right? We got 7 hours of protest that I'm scrolling through for you. I promise if anything looks interesting, I will stop there. I'm not gonna, you know, if I see something on fire, I'm not gonna like, you know, skip it, right? I'll show it to you. I just want to show you what a day at the LA protest looks like, just so you know that Fox News is lying to you. Your favorite Asmongold is lying to you. Your favorite right-wing content creator also lying to you. Because they don't want to show you all this boring shit that I'm showing you. But yeah, they set the camera down for a second there. This is going to make the Dems lose the midterms? You're right, Andrew Wilkins. If people find out how boring these protests are, they're going to vote for something better than Democrats. They're going to vote for a third party. You don't show the other shit either? Gonzalez, I'm literally showing you 7 hours. Do you want, I'm showing you 7 hours of protest, right? I'm showing you what the protest looks like. Now, if you want to see, you know, what shit looks like at nighttime when most of the protesters have dispersed, and there's all kinds of people out, some of them looking for an adventure, some of them trying to fuck shit up, some of them trying to fuck the protest up, and some of them confronting the authorities in a much more severe manner, right? We'll look at that as well. I'm showing it to you in order. You will notice that the sky is still light here, right? That indicates to you, that should indicate to you that it is, I'm showing you what happened earlier today, right? This isn't current. We're going to catch up with current. But I just wanted to show you the dance party because I thought that was pretty sick. Okay, yeah, I do have to put the poll up, don't I? I need to put the poll up for y'all. Osmongold is a reptilian, says Luis Valenzuela. Maybe? He could definitely be a reptilian. He could be some kind of insect. He could be a zombie. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. With Asmongold, there's no telling. There's no telling what that guy really is. Yeah, this is an insurrection, right? Dudes, where's my car? Are you scared? Are you intimidated? Did you see those dance moves? That was some pretty sick. That was a pretty sick insurrection. I feel like the country is in danger because those dance moves were so sick, and Trump could never keep up with them. You know, Trump, if he was dancing, he would just be jerking off 2 dicks. That's Trump's whole thing, right? That's what he's from the 80s, chat. And back in the 80s, this was a valid dance move, right? You see him with Epstein. You want to see Trump with Epstein? Here, let's get the Trump. I'm gonna show you how Donald dances. Oh God! Of course it's a. Come on. There... There's Trump and Epstein back in the day. These were cool guys. I mean, we can watch this, but it's in, I just want to see Donald doing his dance moves. Here we go, here we go. Here's the tape.
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
I just want to see him do that dance move, right? This was back in the day when you could literally...
It was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking
look at that, chat. This is where his dance moves come from, right? You know, the shit that he does now, right? This is all from back when Donald Trump was cool and hanging out with cool dudes like Jeffrey Epstein here. He's got a lot to say to Jeffrey. Look, he's pointing out women, or maybe underage women. I don't know. I mean, given who he's talking to, right? Anyway, pretty boring protest here. Not a lot going on. Got some aerial views. But yeah, I heard some people in chat complaining that I wasn't showing the other stuff, right? I feel like you've got enough of that. If you watch your local news, you will get that. If you watch your Fox affiliate, you will get that. Like, right, that's what everybody else is showing you. Right? They're cherry picking that stuff because it's more exciting than the real protest, which is what I'm showing you. I am showing you the 7 hours. We're scrolling through 7 hours of protest footage from today. Now, chat, as it gets darker, you're going to see, you know, the protests take on a little bit of a different nature, right? You're going to see more of the people that came to demonstrate. They're gonna leave and they're gonna go home, and you're gonna see, you know, kind of another crowd arrive. So here we go. These are people that were arrested. We didn't really get to see how they were arrested, but they look pretty dangerous. I don't know, chat. It's pretty dangerous people that the cops are taking away. I don't know. What did they say? Did they make fun of an officer? Is that what they did? Yeah, like I said, pretty boring stuff for most of. But yeah, overall, for a crowd that big, it doesn't seem like they made that many arrests. I mean, they will make more arrests from you know, the footage that was taken. If people are shown to be committing crimes, they'll you know, probably charge those people as well. The LAPD has said that they intend to you know, to charge more people based on footage, right? But yeah, not a lot of. Let's see what the AP has got going on now. All right. We got Santa Ana. Yo! Omega Star. Thank you for the gifted sub on Twitch to Burple. Burple, you just got jellyfished, and that's a good thing. All right, what do we got here? I do need to put up a poll, right? We normally do a some bonus content. If we get, you know, the ticker that I've got, it's at 0. If it gets to 100 by the end of the stream, or what is it at 25 now, maybe? If it gets to 100 by the end of the stream, we'll do some bonus content. I need to give you bonus content to vote on. Again, chat, apologies. I actually started the stream before I even intended to. Okay, so the one that's live right now from AP is the Santa Ana. Like I said, the protests have spread, and that is due to the escalation undertaken not so much by the LA cops, because again, the LA cops, this is where they live. They don't want to, you know, they don't want to shit where they eat, right? But by the feds, by the Department of Homeland Security, by the ICE agents themselves, and whatever other hapless federal agencies they drafted. Look at this kind of shit, chat. When you come into a city with a weapon of war, right, this is bound to get a reaction that's gonna be more militant, right? But this is Santa Ana. Just so you know, we left LA. We're in Santa Ana now. So slightly more militarized presence. It looks like they're definitely using. This is what they're spending your taxpayer money on, right? For cops to have military equipment to come into your cities and suppress your right to free speech. That's where your tax money's going for. Oh, also to Israel. I forgot about that. Yeah. Also to Israel for 2,000-pound bombs to drop on kids, right? But don't worry, chat. Doge is not going to stop any of that spending. They're going to keep that shit going. They're going to keep spending your money on that shit. They're going to keep spending your money on this kind of shit. But yeah, this is we're close to, let's see, what's going on here? Are we still okay? The stream is back. There's not a lot happening here. Again, anytime you watch protests at night, you're gonna see more of that action. You're gonna see more of what the media is showing you. You're gonna see fires.
Have our audio and picture testing. Michelle Fisher and Tommy in Santa Ana.
National Guard up there? Yeah, I saw when they rolled up. Yeah, cheap. Yeah, I saw the Humvees. Hey, you see my shot, right?
I'm gonna see if I can find some more live.
Yeah, Michelle thought you didn't hear. She didn't think you saw the shot. Can you hear her audio? Mic check, Michelle.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh.
I can fix it on my end too. Mic check, Michelle.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
The National Guard in Santa Ana, working with Santa Ana PD. Their operation focused near the...
All right, thank you. All right, all right.
Okay, so this is AP setting up next to, I think, a local reporter in Santa Ana. Kind of.
I can hear you, yes. What's up?
I'm looking for the LA feed. There may not be much going on in LA, right? My suspicion is that, wait, yeah, there's Santa Ana. My suspicion is that the bigger protests, you're going to see those on the weekend, right? It is now, well, it's technically Tuesday, I guess, isn't it? In most places, no, not in LA. It's not Tuesday. It's still Monday in LA.
Okay.
But I'm looking for a feed from LA to show you.
You know, you can see the federal building there. The National Guard's down there. Down 4th Street, we're seeing the Sheriff's Department and Santa Ana Police. They're engaging with protesters. Can we do that? Is that kind of a large swing?
It's a long swing, but we can do it still.
Okay. Is there no easy way to do it? Well, what if we start there and then we kind of... that's the shorter version. Okay.
Okay, so CNBC has the live feed from LA. This is LA. You're listening to Santa Ana. We're watching LA. It's a little confused right now. They're just looking at graffiti here on. There's the we saw that bus earlier where they're making arrest.
OC Hall, do me a favor, flip that sign down, please.
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
It doesn't seem like a lot's going on right now in Santa Ana, so
peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
We'll turn the volume on in LA. See what's going on there. Oh, CNBC doesn't have DVR on. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is kind of boring too. Switch back. Santa Ana. At least we've got a reporter on scene doing something. Oh, texting. Wonderful. Yeah, that's exciting. I love it when reporters text.
I want to be able to hear what you're hearing.
But no, they're setting up their live shot, chat. That's why it's like this. Like this is AP, I think? I mean, this is AP. I don't know why they're, like, where is her camera? There's some militarized, remember, this is Santa Ana, okay? You can see that Santa Ana's response to the protests a little bit more heavy-handed than what we saw in LA. Okay, wow. They're trying to find a better live shot to go to. Let's see what's going on over here. I just wanted to give you a more accurate picture of the totality of the protests, right? When you see the protests on TV, most of what you're seeing is what happens at night when most of the protesters have gone home. It's not exactly representative of the protests, you know, writ large. All right, so I think it's important to take a look at, you know, what the hourly, you know, boring, mundane, what the actual experience of being there is, right? Because it's a very okay, wait, what are we getting here? That is not live. Okay, fuck that channel. They literally went back to yesterday to find something with more fire in it. This is I found a channel, like a YouTube channel, right? That's streaming it live, and they're not, or they're supposedly live, right? But it's not. They've switched off the live feed because it's literally too boring. And that's my problem right now too. It's probably boring you as well. I'm trying to find you something more interesting to look at right now. Wait a minute, that might not even be, is that actually CNBC? I don't even know if this is CNBC. There are channels on YouTube that like try to make themselves look like, okay, they try to make themselves look like more, like actual, like, you know, media organizations.
In the crowd,
here we go.
Peacefully protesting. They say they're here because they want to send a clear message to Washington. Take a listen.
Don't break families apart, or like, don't come here terrorize this community, because this is a community.
We don't want ICE here, and we don't want ICE on neighborhoods and getting people out of their houses, going to schools, to graduations. anywhere that people are not going anywhere because they're scared. And this needs to stop.
Now, the crowd did get quite unruly before they were finally moved away.
Proud Mexican here? Hell yeah, Reddit ES. Hell yeah.
A number of other intersections taken over by demonstrators. So, of course, this.
Hi from Australia. Hi from Thailand.
Now, back here live again, you can see the officers lined up outside of LAPD headquarters.
Melt the ice. Hell yeah.
Here assisting law enforcement from a number of surrounding cities, as well as CHP and sheriffs. We've seen special weapons and tactical, of course, out here as well. We're hearing some flashbangs and also fireworks. So the situation is definitely dynamic here in downtown Los Angeles. It was several blocks away from LAPD headquarters. Now it appears that it might be moving this way. It is difficult to kind of figure out as to where these crowds are moving because they've been split apart and kind of gone in different directions.
Boycott California, says Winston Skates. Good luck with that.
For law enforcement here in downtown Los Angeles. Carolyn, Jonathan, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Tarsha, thank you. Now, the protests against immigration raids were for the...
It's the fourth largest economy in the world. And I'm not talking about states, Chad. I'm talking about compared to other countries. California, if it was its own country, would be the fourth largest economy in the world. So good luck with boycotting California. I hope you survive.
We've seen protests in Los Angeles before. We've seen people exercising their First Amendment rights. We've often seen the vandalism.
Wait, boycott California? Does that mean you're...
Goes along with it. But what we are seeing when it comes to the...
Does that mean you're going to buy avocados from Mexico?
And it is something for those of you...
Danny says, I'm outside your house. Oh, I see you. Hey, what's up? What's up, Danny?
And come here to...
Can you wave back at me?
May soon have to encounter. Now let's show
Danny,
you the situation as
can you wave back at me?
Broadway.
I'm waving at you. I see you.
The 101 freeway blocked off. These on-ramps and off...
It's no longer peaceful when you obstruct traffic. Well, tell that to the cops staging on the 101. The cops also blocked the highway. So I guess the cops are not peaceful either.
Who pointed the finger at the Trump administration, not only blaming the Trump administration for the ICE raids, but now making it...
Avocados in this economy? In this economy? How about with these tariffs, Pinstab? How about with these tariffs? There's Karen Bass. Again, the California Democrats are absolutely feckless. I don't like these politicians.
To make the case that if the National Guard came here, it would be a provocative move, and it would be like a deliberate...
I guess I'm a little bit encouraged that Gavin Newsom showed a little bit of backbone yesterday.
Predictable what was going to happen here, and it was completely unnecessary. This was a solution in search of a problem, and the problem was not happening on Thursday.
Not only do we have 2,000 National Guard...
I'm on the wrong side of this debate. Trin and Hawes, you're on the wrong side of history.
Now add to that the military, 700 Marines from 29 Palms here to support them. If Mayor Bass or Governor Newsom try to impede their deployment efforts...
What are we looking at, though? They're showing, I guess they're showing tape from earlier today.
Both threatened to have them arrested. Here's what Newsom had to say about that.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where...
There we go. There's,
But you know what? Let your hands off 4-year-old girls that are trying to get educated. Let your hands off these poor people. They're just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes. Been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting.
Release the files. Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Governor Newsom and Attorney General Rob Bonta are now suing the Trump administration.
Is he doing taxi driver? Kind of, yeah. It looks really staged. Like that MSNBC interview, it just looked absolutely staged.
Think about this. You've got the Marines, you've got the National Guard, and you have local...
Walter White says Newsom is cooked. I agree, but I'm not sure if we've got the same reason in mind
for
why we think Newsom is such a ghoul. I agree.
Are they all working in unison Is there a coordinated effort with the LAPD and the Sheriff's Department? Is there a lead agency? In other words, who's running this show? We asked LAPD Chief Jim McDonald.
I mean, I think we're in uncharted territory right now.
I mean, this just feels like a news report, right? I was looking for like live coverage.
We've brought in, I mentioned the four
agencies
that are helping us, and that we're able to get things back to the way they should be, the way the public deserves and expects.
Make that very clear. Vast majority.
Okay, I think this is live.
Hurling things at police, but it only takes a few to do it, and that triggers a very intense response, and that's what we've seen play out, in these videos. And once
oh my God!
Situation here, very volatile. It has been all night. We don't know what police will do next. They're here at this.
They just keep driving with the scooter underneath the car.
But yeah, I can smell that burning, Pat. I'm not sure what it was. You said it was a banner, right?
We believe it was. Yeah, or it could have been something like an outdoor dining, tent of some kind or overhang. But it seems to be out. I think Mike has been monitoring.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
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 So what does it look like now, Tom, compared to when you first got out there? I know the situation has changed so many times, even as you've been live doing your hits. Things have devolved and then become peaceful again. What is it like now compared to earlier on in the day?
Yeah, so good question, Rutabaga. We're going to walk down a little bit here and just take a peek kind of where things stand. We were up on this plaza. We're right at the Japanese American Museum, and we were just up kind of trying to stay out of the way of police. And so basically the action was all kind of going on at San Pedro and Second, where we showed that video. Now we're at First, and this is where the crowd sort of once again gathered up again, and then police just moved through. So it looks pretty empty now. Oh, that's the banner that burned. There we go. Yeah, there it is. I can smell that and see it now. I can see it now.
Yeah,
so you can see there, but it has stuff on it we shouldn't show. It has some profanity on it. We apologize, obviously, to our viewers. There's a lot of vandalized buildings and spray paint. It's everywhere, and it's just it's very difficult to avoid. So yeah, this area now appears clear. This was really the sort of hot spot, and police now moving, and so it's unclear where they're going to go next. Obviously, you guys have a better bird's eye view from SkyCal of what's going on, but it was just a very tense and volatile situation with just emotions running high, people angry, running, crowds surging, people throwing things, and you just don't know when things are going to turn, right? I mean, so innocent people can get hurt. I saw one guy bloodied walking through the parking garage next to Little Tokyo, where this was all happening at Second and San Pedro, and as we were leaving it, we saw someone being carried away by apparently his friends or something. He was covered in blood, so who knows how that happened. It's an ugly thing to see some of this playing out. I know a lot of people are hurting, a lot of people are angry, especially because of what's going on. Families are encountering great difficulty because of these ICE operations and going through great hardship. And there's in many communities just a lot of hurt and anger, so you understand why people want to come out here and express their feelings and make their feelings known. And many of them, many are so peaceful and just wanting to share that, to share that and to express their freedom of speech and their rights here on the streets. But then you also have people mixed in, these agitators, and sort of some of them are anarchists. I'm watching a few of them spray paint buildings, and these are people's businesses in some cases.
I love how they can tell what ideology the protesters are doing by the color of their spray paint. You can tell if it's green spray paint, chat, they're an anarchist. If it's red spray paint, they're a revolutionary communist, right? You can tell just by the color of the spray paint tells you their ideology.
Number 4.
No, but obviously reporters have a very different definition of what an anarchist is.
Cool down a bit. Well, we can say with certain.
In other words, chat. The reporters are not reading Proust or
to what we saw last night.
Kropotkin.
Total chaos. We see these sporadic fires being set in the middle of the street, just like the banners that you saw, Tom, and then they go out, and let's hope that's what happens.
Okay, protests at Dallas.
There are a lot more law enforcement personnel on the streets of Los Angeles right now. And a lot of, what we're seeing now, even especially younger people, we know there's a lot of anger and there's a lot of sadness, and family members that do, and community members that want to come out and support the cause and are against these ICE raids. But at the same time, you have to think about now, if you get arrested or something happens to you, they'll be just as sad for that. But that's not something that comes to mind when you're out in the middle, in the thick of all this. But we have to say that a lot of this looks like it certainly could be planned by people that are known to do this. Who would know to just converge and bring things together, and flammable things, to light things on fire, or to move around trash cans, and they're all taking video. They're taking pictures of this, and it's not necessarily to protect themselves. I think we can say that for sure. They're taking pictures, I guess, maybe to
Pat,
post, but that's going to have their faces or their bodies on tape, and actually they're really laying crumbs, so to speak, for law enforcement to follow up later, which they will.
And not only that, but they're representing Los Angeles. These are the images that people are going to see across the country and world of Los Angeles.
Hey, there we go. I think I got a poll for you coming through here.
Cause this type of damage, so definitely not helping their cause.
And the thing too, I mean, LAPD is there to
I love how they're assuming the cause. Again, chat, agitators come in all varieties, right?
quite sure that that's on the minds of the people that are causing the damage tonight. We're going to go to our Lori Perez. She is also...
Like, it's sometimes hard to discern even like what side that a particular agitator is on. What are they agitating for? Like when she says they're hurting their cause, it's funny to say that when you don't know what their fucking cause is. Yeah, Proudhon. I'm sorry, did I say Proust?
From where he is. We're at San Pedro and First as well. You can still see the force of law enforcement that
There's a union protest in Atlanta. Yeah, there's a lot of solidarity, right?
Along San Pedro, and just a little while ago, we found ourselves.
Oh, sorry, Danny Garden. No, I was responding to somebody in the other chat named just Danny.
Sheriff's deputies and some agitators who were facing off with them coming down the.
Sorry, I forget that chat can't see the other chatters in shorts.
Back and forth. You can see this is new. We're seeing golf balls. You know how hard golf balls can be. So those were being launched at officers, at deputies, and then rocks, of course, lots of rocks. But then also you can see in return, those are the shell casings.
All right, there's your super chat goal, chat, in case you want a butterfly in my hair.
That deputies and officers use.
I'm gonna give you a poll.
Control a crowd that is hurling things.
Bonus content.
So, as we were coming down the street, watching things like, Luke, check this out. This is a big bag of rocks. So at one point, we're assuming there were agitators on this side who had brought this, that they were going to launch at officers. So as we were coming down the street, you're right, we found ourselves in the middle of that kind of battle, and we had to duck into one of the alcoves of those stores over there because there was so much being shot back and forth, and we were seeing people right in front of us getting hit by pepper balls and by those rubber bullets and rocks that were even coming and falling right near us. And so we
All right, there's your poll, chat.
With some other people who were seeking
poll is live.
Everything that was getting thrown about in the air, and we stayed in there until it was over. You know, it took some minutes for.
Watch the stream from the Onion. Pin stab. What is the Onion doing?
Cautious, but I did not want to get out of that alcove.
Wait. What is the Onion doing? I want to know about this.
Get hit by anything, and it was intense and it was dramatic. One of the most dramatic moments, I would say, of my career. And I've covered a lot of stuff, so it was pretty scary. But at this moment, after that kind of calmed down, the crowd that had been facing off with the sheriff's deputies dispersed. They went in that direction.
Arizona Exploration. Good luck with that.
Some fireworks going off. They're still throwing fireworks this way. And we also are hearing some bangs and explosions in this direction. So again, just really speaking to the little pockets.
I thought Thailand was on the poll. Wait.
Here in downtown Los Angeles tonight. Not, I would say, quite as intense as some of the stuff that we saw last night, thankfully, but still quite a bit to be handled here in Los Angeles tonight. Guys, back to you.
Well, we're certainly glad you're okay, Laura. And yes, I know you've covered.
I was saying this sounds like The Onion. Oh, I got it. I got it. I thought you were saying that The Onion had a live stream.
You felt definitely a need to do that. So glad you did that. And while you were talking and you discovered this bag of rocks, we have a picture up where we see protesters just pulling out hammers and taking apart a piece of the curb and breaking it up. 4 rocks, we assumed, pieces of concrete to throw at law enforcement. At one point, we saw them, they seemed to be scrambling. I don't know exactly where they were going. Mike, did you notice that too? There are quite a few of them.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if it was because LAPD moved up a little bit, but the LAPD is still a significant distance away from where these protesters are. But I want to ask John to go back into that curb, and we can show people what's left of the curb right there, just under the traffic signal where you see 3rd Street. I mean, and you see that person right there kind of picking at it. Look, he's picking up a rock or a piece of concrete. We saw somebody come over with a sledgehammer and just started
ABCDEF says re-migration. Hey, I got a better idea, ABCDEF. How about...
And look, you see one person picking it up. They're kind of handing it off to people. We saw people put it in their pockets and just kind of hanging it.
How about secession?
You see it handing off again. And they're just kind of, who knows what they're going to do with it. I mean, we assume they're going to throw it at law enforcement because that is what we have seen them do in the last several nights. I can't tell. There was, Pat, to your point.
How about we just make California Mexico again, since that's who the U.S. stole it from.
Set the trees on fire too. Oh, a car.
That's a car.
Wow.
There we go. Oh my God, the local news loves this shit. They're like, finally, we found something on fire. Yeah, that's what they want to show you.
Or something on fire, that's never a good sign. Ducking under tents and things like that. When people are showing up to these protests with hammers and setting things on fire, even if it's not property at the moment, it's never kind of a good sign, and it's a sign of things to come. So we are now seeing the car go up in flames.
Right underneath of a tree that will probably catch on fire as well. And, LAFD, we saw this last night. LAFD is not interested in coming in trying to put these fires out with this crowd being as hostile as they are. They let, those Waymos burn forever yesterday before they came in because it just wasn't safe. What was that? John telling me something one more time as we watch. Sorry, we can't get in too tight on.
What's wrong with us getting the illegals out? I saw in chat. I don't know. How about I send some
and this car is gonna
a SWAT team to your house and go take your grandmom out? That's what's happening here in California, and people don't like it. People don't care about people's document status. All right, they care that they're family members and members of the community, and they're not causing anyone any trouble. Like, just get the illegals out. Yeah, that only took opening up a gulag in El Salvador to do.
And a situation that is not what we wanted to see tonight.
And it looks like there's another car right behind it, which is kind of a volatile situation as well.
Yeah, and hopefully it doesn't spread to that. And here's law enforcement. They're going to start to move up. Hopefully they can.
My grandma was born and raised here, though. Doesn't matter. All she's got to have is the wrong skin color, Wava Flav. And ICE will come for her. They don't care. They've taken people that are U.S. citizens.
For what purpose at this point, right? I mean, there's.
This is the beginning of fascism. This is what it looks like, right? And what you're saying is like, first they came for the immigrants, and I didn't give a fuck because I'm not an immigrant. I've got my papers in order. My grandmom's born and raised here, right? And and there's even people here in Southern California that voted for Trump thinking that what he was going to do was take out violent criminals. That's what Trump talked about. Violent criminals. Lincoln Chafee, right? We're going to get rid of the violent criminals. When they start coming for people's grandma, she's not a violent criminal. People start to realize what this really is.
This has become such a spectacle. Every time something catches fire, you have so many people taking pictures of it and video. And
like you!
The lights went on.
Like you, local news, you're doing what you're complaining about. Oh my God, chat.
Got to go home and get fuel. So this is probably the last thing we're going to see from SkyCal as this, kind of heats up.
He's like complaining about the fact that that people want to take pictures of stuff on fire as they zero in on an object on fire.
Or try to get help in any way or calm the situation down.
Yeah, or back the crowd up.
We're just going to watch this car, right?
What sends another confusing message? I've seen so many people in those lime green jackets, the vests that you would think at some point would be service people. I remember during some of the Palestinian protests at UCLA, those were some of the people that were.
Grandmas aren't illegal, chatters. Grandmas are people. like you and me. All right?
Shield people or tell people,
Yeah.
guiding people at some point.
Yeah,
they
were
like liaisons.
Right, or at least groups. I mean, and John's telling me in this situation, it looks like that person maybe have a, press is a loose term I'm going to use for people, but, there's all kinds of bloggers and, photographers and all those kinds of things that will claim to be press that, are trying to, make themselves distinguish or, stand out from the rest of the crowd using those high visibility vests. But yeah, I mean, it certainly gives them a different point. But to your point, Pat, yes, there were, I think in 2022, there were people that were wearing vests that were trying to act as kind of organizers or as your point, liaisons.
Well, not in this case. We've seen them take pictures, but that's about it.
What happened here is horrible. I agree. I don't think that federal law enforcement should be going into Home Depot to pick up day workers.
And do their job. It makes it so dangerous and so difficult for them because they don't know what awaits them in the crowd.
Right. Right. Yeah. And we're going to.
I'm in. Bob 302.
Very quickly, but we'll watch as they kind of take off here. You'll see.
These people aren't in the country illegally. Do better.
And so are the protesters.
Okay, walk us through last night, Mike, because if I were...
Do better. It's not illegal to be in the country.
Was the fire department able to get in?
What you're saying is that they're not citizens, I think. I think that's what you're trying to say.
There were the 5 Waymos that got set on fire, and the fire department came in time.
Little do you know that I am in a country right now in which I am not a citizen. And if the country that I'm in right now was acting like the U.S.,
it didn't look like it belonged to anything having to do.
I'd be in hiding right now.
A law enforcement vehicle.
No, not at all. And last night with the Waymos, it looked like somebody obviously intentionally called them there because all 5 or 6 of them ended up together on one street, and then they were very quickly vandalized. This looks like it's a car that's just kind of, parked on the side of the road there, unfortunately, where they're, who knows if they're a protester, if they're just somebody that lives in the area, works in the area. But unfortunately, now their car is gone, and they'll have to deal with that as well. But hopefully for insurance purposes, they'll be able to get a hold of some of that video because obviously there were so many people down there that were recording.
Again, the thing that's wrong with destruction of property is not the property itself, it's who it affects, right? Yeah, if it's your car and you don't have insurance, that sucks. And that's not what that it shouldn't be encouraged. At the same time, chat, we watched tens of thousands of protesters literally dancing, not lighting anything on fire, not doing anything dangerous, not hurting anyone, just literally fucking dancing. And that's what the protest is, right? This is what happens at night after a protest when the cops are preoccupied with protesters rather than crime prevention, rather than doing their job, right?
On top of the 2,000 deployed.
People know that if they want to do a crime, the cops concentrating on protesters is a great opportunity for them to do that.
Well, the governor claims many of the troops already here are sitting unused in federal buildings and called the move reckless and pointless. City Attorney Rob Bonta confirmed the troops are activated for the next 60 days, and right now state officials don't know when they will stand down. The National Guard and the Marines' mission to help protect federal personnel and federal property. But the last time National Guard and Marines were federalized and sent to LA, well, back in 1992 during the LA riots. Political experts I spoke to told me tonight that was a very different situation at the time. The governor and
coming across the border without going through the legal process is illegal. See, you don't know what you're talking about.
Deploying the National Guard without his consent, the state asking a judge to declare it unconstitutional for the court to halt any future deployments.
An order that abused the federal government's authority and violated
the
10th Amendment.
You want to talk about illegal immigrants? Let's talk about Elon Musk.
Common sense, strategic steps.
Let's talk about somebody who overstayed his work visa.
Escalation. As a result, I, in partnership with Governor Gavin Newsom, are suing President Trump.
He's an incompetent governor. Look at the job he's doing in California. He's destroying one of our great states. And if I didn't get involved, if we didn't bring the Guard in, and we would bring more in if we needed it, because we have to make sure there's going to be law and order.
Well, President Trump went on to say that had he not sent in the Guard, well, LA would have been, quote, completely obliterated. Again, the National Guard Well, we have not seen really.
Lonely says you can't be illegal on stolen land. True.
For the first time. Many of the clashes happening on city streets are with local law enforcement and protesters to help out those local law enforcement. Well, the governor announcing today that he is adding an additional 800 state and local law enforcement to help out Los Angeles, which is why we're seeing Ventura County sheriffs there on scene in downtown LA. Sending it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you so much, Leslie. All right, let's take another shot of that car fire that is continuing to burn in downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Mighty Zulu says trying to wear, wait, what is this? Trying to wear a lady costume? To be special by wearing a lady costume.
To see, but you can see some of the protesters are up there still in the corner.
Because doing something is just to, wait, what?
Any fire department activity, obviously.
Mighty Zulu, I'm suspecting that you might be wearing a human costume right now.
Below them there, but they haven't moved any further forward. It doesn't seem like any of the.
Why don't you take off your human costume and show us your real face?
And understandably so. I mean, it's a very tense situation. The police don't have the exact.
Show us what kind of basement dwelling ghoul is underneath.
And Mike, I see another fire up on the top of this. It's off screen now, but up at the top.
I think Mighty Zulu might be hiding a zombie bite. I don't know.
Burning on the other street.
Yeah, that was, I think, that small pallet fire that we originally came over here for. That's on San Pedro, and then this is third. And I'm trying to see if the tree went up too.
Oh, good question. 11 Body Bag says, "What am I eating?" These are
black smoke.
I should have explained. I always forget that.
Now all kinds of smoke.
We've got all kinds of people in here tonight that aren't.
And fireworks.
Okay, so.
Smoke bombs,
just chaos.
Tear gas.
This is a long gun.
He knows about this because
okay.
You see them,
it's a shell.
Right, they're just not able to get the fire.
And when you crack it.
Yeah, and I would say that
which is not easy, right? You gotta apply pressure here, but not too much. Oh my God, it's hard. It's hard. It's difficult. I mean, I'm trying to. Oh my God, I can't get it cracked. There we go. See, I cracked it, and then I open the shell, revealing what looks like an eyeball.
Do that and put themselves in a situation there.
Kind of looks like an eyeball.
Outnumbered by the number of protesters. The car fire, though,
a little bit.
Looks like it's getting kind of close to that second car. Hopefully that.
And it's like jelly. It's like a jelly fruit inside, right?
Other car and the tree that is above it. But yeah, fire department's not going to touch this until LAPD secures the scene.
And then there's a little seed in the inside of here.
Likely because there are more protesters.
You can't eat it, as far as I know. Maybe you can cook it or something.
All right, but the thing is that what communication.
SM says, "I hate this news station." Me too.
Yes, for sure. And the only reason that they have not advanced, they can't just put it out themselves.
Right.
And visibility, I guess, also.
We've got Santa Ana. We got
protesters.
We have Dallas.
See right now where that car fire is.
Right, they're up in the intersection here, and again, this is at 3rd and San Pedro.
Right, this is Dallas.
And they're up in that area. I would assume LAPD is hoping to get some more units in here and be able to push this crowd out. They have not done that yet.
All right, so that's to me it kind of looks like the LA protests, or at least the more sensational element of them, the late night fires and confrontation and all the chaos. It looks like that might be winding down a little bit. Again, things like bringing in the National Guard tend to escalate protests, right? Tend to make protests larger, more confrontational, more violent, and last longer, and also spread them out. Now, this is what we're looking at now. We're looking at the protest spread, right? This is Dallas. So now, because of the overreaction of Donald Trump, the provocation of peaceful protesters, instead of quashing the protest movement, they have spread it. Oh, great sound. Wow. What is that, a scanner? What are you listening to? So anyway, yeah, this is Dallas right now. Looks like some of the protesters have partially taken an intersection. There's not as many. There are, it looks like, wait, okay, I'm sorry. Let me. I don't know if the protesters actually took the intersection. There are like 4 protesters confronting the police, and then more protesters on the side of the road and catty corner to this. I don't know. I don't know if the cops took the intersection first, or if the I don't know if the protesters took the intersection first, and the cops are here in reaction to the protesters, or if the cops took the intersection and are staging something there, and the protesters, there's only like 4 people here, 4 very brave people. But it looks like traffic is still proceeding through here, so it's not blocked off or anything.
Invading radicals.
All right, we'll take a look at this one.
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
Welcome in, communist invading radicals. Every time you hear that sound, that means somebody has followed the channel. Look at that.
But now there are freaking communists.
Hey, I'm a popular lady in spite of the fact that I'm a hot mess today, chat. My hair is just like, look, the story is I did not get a chance to prepare for the stream today, right? I don't entirely understand the software that I'm using. It's there's been an update, and I haven't been able to stream on Shorts recently. Today I did figure out how to get Shorts going, but accidentally it started off right away. Like, my intention is usually to start off on horizontal and then add a short stream, just because Shorts viewers are a little bit more, you can flip, you know what I mean? You're flipping through Shorts, you come up on my stream, right? If I bore you, if I'm talking about, if I'm talking to chat, if I'm talking about boring stuff, you're gonna flip away, right? So we don't want that. So I just got on here and started showing you the protest. I didn't even get the poll is up now, horizontal chat. So if you want to vote for bonus content, we are, I think, 25% of the way there, maybe 27%. Wait, no. Let me add something to this. Okay. It was 27, and then there's 2 super chats, 27 plus 12. We're at 39% of the bonus content. If that thing gets to 100 by the end of the stream, I'll stick around and do one more topic. What do we got today? We've got how governments spy on protesters, right? That's a video essay. We've got Elon's daughter on Hassan. That's right. Vivian steps into Hassan's mansion, right? To live it up, LA style. And we got that, right? We've got Peter Thiel's Palantir. There's been a lot of stories about Palantir that's happened because the Trump administration has contracted Palantir. You may remember them if you're old school enough. You may remember, if you're an old head, that Palantir was the organization that went after WikiLeaks back in the day. We're talking about like the 2008, 2010, around the time of Occupy Wall Street, I guess, was when this happened. And this is just a company that's, their whole job is to spy on people, for governments, for corporations, for law enforcement, for military, for Wendy's, chat. They're literally working for Wendy's as well. I mean, some of their evil is kind of banal. Some of it is less so. But this is Peter Thiel's, company that he founded. There's also the current CEO is an interesting piece of work. This guy is apparently a Democrat, right? He is a supporter of Hillary Clinton, supporter of Joe Biden, and supporter of Kamala Harris, right? And he's the CEO of Palantir. He's doing some really evil shit. That's he would say that the espionage, really, the I don't know what you want to call it, espionage against citizens is really what Palantir kind of does. He would say that this has protected Europe from far-right governments. In other words, he thinks that they stopped, terrorism through their actions, and that were those terrorist acts able to go off, which he thinks would have happened without them, you'd have a lot more far right governments in the EU. So yeah, that's an interesting place to find somebody who considers himself politically left. But yeah, working with the Trump administration now. So, and these are our options for bonus content. So make sure that you know that we're at 39 out of 100 now. If we get to 100 out of 100 by the end of the stream, we'll watch some bonus content. And you have the ability to vote in the stream. You have the ability to vote on the main horizontal stream, right? So if you're watching on vertical, you'll have to find my other stream. I've got two streams going on right now. One of them is vertical, mobile. The other one is horizontal, just like a regular stream. That's the one where you can vote at. Make your voice heard, make your opinion known, and vote on what kind of bonus content you want for today. Leave a like while you're there, because that helps me out a lot. And you can also help your favorite topic win anytime you donate to the stream, whether that is through a super chat, a super sticker, if you're getting yourself a membership, if you're gifting memberships, if you're gifting the gift of weasels, right? If you're supporting me on Throne right now, I'm trying to fund my tuition for learning a new language, right? I'm learning Thai. And it's also going to help me get a visa to stay in this country and out of that country, out of this country a little bit longer. So if you want to help me out with that, go over throne.com/nocommentchick. That's where I am funding my my language classes. I'm going to be taking 180 hours of Thai. I'm going to be taking those classes for about a year. And hopefully I'll become fluent both in reading, writing, and speaking, and understanding the Thai language. So there's that. Or if you sign up for my Patreon, that also counts. Or if you support me on Twitch, which I appreciate greatly, because again, we're demonetized on Twitch thanks to Ethan Klein, Destiny, Dan Saltman, etc. All political streamers on Twitch are effectively demonetized. So that's the only way I get paid at all is through support of viewers like you. And if you support me there, then you have the right to put your money where your mouth is.
It was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
By telling me which one of these topics that you want to see. And if you're watching me on Shorts and you're like, what are you pointing at? What are these topics? What are you talking about, right? Just go over to the horizontal stream and you'll see the vote, right? You can vote on what kind of bonus content that you want. And you can do that for free, right? The other thing that you can do for free if you have Prime is you can support me on Twitch. Twitch Prime status will get you a free sub on Twitch. You'll get the jellyfish, you'll get all the emotes, and you'll also be supporting me, and you'll also make this number go up. So yeah, when the number goes up to 100, we get bonus content. You can also let me know where you want me to put that donation, and I'll add it to the topic of your choice. I'll give it a little bonus. So far, I haven't heard anybody, asking for, their dono to be put towards any particular topic. But just know that you can do that. What the hell? I'm like eating my hair here. There's only two genders, XX or XY. I choose XX. See, it's funny, Scott, when you say those are riots, not protests, right? If you said that, like, while we're watching something being lit on fire, you might have a little bit more traction with people, right? But the problem is you'll say literally anything is a riot. We were watching people have a dance party today in the streets of LA, And I had people in here telling me this was a dangerous riot, telling me to watch out for the dance moves of these people. Because if I go down there, you know, to the protest, if I go down to there, to that dance party, I might get served. I might not have the moves to keep up with those people. So it's very dangerous. It's definitely a riot. This, scary shit. Yo, Jay Chent, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thank you for the Prime sub. That means a lot to me. And that really helps me out. George Jackson says, I want to be XXX. I know we can, well, actually, no, don't joke around about that, right? Because there are actually, so the chatter said there's only 2 genders, and then they mentioned 2 sex chromosome configurations. Unfortunately, chat, this chatter has, I don't know, like a 5th grade knowledge of biology, because that's not true. There's more variation in humanity than XX and XY. There is XXY. Should I look it up? I haven't checked into this, but if we're going to be talking about biological gender, I might as well try to educate you a little bit. I mean, not all of you are, mouth breathing weirdos, but there is a lot of confusion. You saw last summer a athlete who was born a woman, right? But was assigned female at birth, right? You saw an athlete get have a moral panic rise up against her, right? On allegations that she was somehow trans, right? So this whole trans panic thing, it's affecting cis ladies too. I know this from personal experience, chat. Just doing shorts chat on YouTube, I experience it. There's only 2 genders. See, okay, now you're talking about gender, says Cookie. That's an interesting thing. Because it kind of depends on what culture. When you're talking about gender, you're talking about, cultural stuff. When you're talking about sex, I guess you're talking about biological stuff. If you want to talk about chromosome stuff, though, let's take a look. Sex chromosome. Sex chromosome variations. That's what we'll look at. All right.
Rooster Ree super chatted $22.
Yo, Rooster Ree, thank you.
Is broken like the little brats trolling tonight.
We're lucky to not be as broken as that. Yeah. Look, I mean, not everybody has as good of a biochem teacher as I had. I had a really good biochem teacher, so I learned this stuff in depth. And even with my depth of knowledge, I mean, there's more to humanity than that, right? The people that, I mean, like the more you know about genetics, the more complicated you realize humans actually are, and the more variation that exists within the human species. It's kind of amazing. I just want like a list. I want like a Pokemon list of all of the sex chromosomes that you can have. Okay, so look at this, right? So Chatter told me that humans are either XX or XY, all right? And I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing that humans are also XXY. Humans can be XXX, which is actually trisomy X, XYY. You can have...
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
XXYY, XXXY.
It was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking...
And chat, we're just talking about like, we're talking about biological sex here. Like, we're not even talking about gender. And we're not even talking about all the different cultures and their ways of looking at gender. right? I'm in a country right now where third genders are very valid, actually, right? I don't think of I don't myself belong to a third gender, right? I'm a woman, right? But here in Thailand, it's pretty normalized, right? So when we say hello, when I say hello, let me just put it that way. I say sawadee ka, right? Sawadee ka, okay? But if you're a guy and you come to Thailand and you want to say hello, you're probably going to want to say, let me see if I can do a guy voice. Sawadee krap. Okay, that's not a good guy voice, but you get the idea. It's going to be sawadee krap, right? And as far as who's allowed to say sawadee ka and sawadee krap, in other words, that's how you gender yourself, right? That's how people know, who they're dealing with, right? Is you can say hello in multiple ways, and whether you say ka or krap is indicating roughly male or female. But yeah, it's not a thing where like nobody's like policing you about how you say it. People are just allowed to identify like they feel, because we're all having a internal subjective experience, right? That is being, that is consciousness, that is our consciousness, right? We're all having a different kind of consciousness. Now, what's my consciousness like versus your consciousness? Well, there's only one person that knows, and that's me. What's it like to be me? What does it feel like to be me? What do I feel like? What does my consciousness feel like? What does my experience in this world feel like? Only I know. So only I can decide whether I want to say sawadee ka or sawadee krap. Sawadee krap. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense. All right, let's see if we can turn on the sound to this. I don't know if we have sound. Oh my God, the sound is terrible. Jesus Christ. Now I remember why I turned the sound off. All right, that's LA. We were just watching Dallas. Now we're watching LA. But yeah, we're up to 64 on the bonus content. So pretty close. There. But yeah, chat, this stream's not about gender or biological sex or culture wars or any of this stuff. But hey, since you asked, chatter, since you asked. Okay, we got AP here with aerial footage. I might as well just... Oh my God, come on, AP. Are you serious? Is that the scene that we saw? Is that the car that we saw before? Anyway. Doesn't look like anything's going on there. And is this the one with the bad audio? No, it just has like no audio. Okay, so like I said, in general, if what you're looking for is fires and people throwing rocks and stuff like that, right? You're more likely to find that stuff at night. We looked through an entire day of protests, and I don't think we saw one illegal act. We saw a dance party. I don't know if those dance moves might have been illegal. Some of those moves were pretty sick. Maybe they were using some illegal moves there, chat. I don't know. I'm not up on it, but yeah, I told you that in general, if you're looking for action, if you're looking for people setting things on fire, if you're looking for confrontations between protesters or agitators and law enforcement, you're going to more likely find it at night than you are going to find it at day. That being said, this, again, looks like a pretty boring protest. We did see one car lit on fire tonight under a tree that's just blossoming. I hope that tree is okay. I hope that tree doesn't catch on fire. But yeah, there's less people here in it. There's a lot less people here. Okay, so there we go. The cops shot a flashbang. That was the first violence we saw, and it wasn't even the protesters. It wasn't even. It was from the cops. I don't even know, chat. You can see that miasma kind of hanging over there. I don't even know if that's a flashbang or a gas ball or but yeah, pretty boring protest. If you actually watch these things in real time, it's not as exciting as the news media makes it out to be. It's definitely not as exciting as the Trump administration is making it out to be. They said that they needed 2,000 National Guards. They said that they needed 600 Marines. And so far, it doesn't look like they need any of that. You know, what they need is a dance party with some illegal moves, some sick illegal moves. Because this is boring. And in reality, most of these protests are very boring. That's the real secret that nobody wants you to know. Okay, so now there's some other law enforcement coming around on the right of the screen. The camera's turning away from them for some reason. These are brown. I'm sorry. I shouldn't call them brown shirts. They are wearing brown shirts. I'm not trying to imply anything about them. I don't know. Is this California Highway Patrol, maybe? Oh, no. This might be the National Guard. I can see those sticks. I wouldn't think that the National Guard would be involved in this. In general, chat, the National Guard is going to be, at least unless the Insurrection Act gets invoked, the National Guard is only going to be protecting federal buildings and maybe federal employees, right? They don't have the dispensation to deal with crowd control or anything like that. But there is some other law enforcement organization. Yeah, it wouldn't be the National Guard. There's no way. The National Guard did have sticks, like large, Hello,
once again from News Chopper 4. I'm Eliana Marino, alongside my pally James Pollard, and we are following some more demonstration activity here in downtown Los Angeles. We're currently
you can barely hear the chopper lady.
So we're on the east side of downtown Los Angeles, right next to the Japanese Village. And these are LAPD officers. They're forming that skirmish line. I did see some Sheriff's Department personnel as well in the corner, just outside of our line of sight. But just about a minute ago or so, there was a crowd that was gathered closer to the intersection.
Okay, so chat, she's telling us that the people in the blue uniforms are indeed LAPD.
It's difficult to tell how many people are here because they're pretty scattered.
I don't think she's spoken about the cops wearing like tan uniforms, who they were.
Some of them waving flags, some of them holding up signs. We have seen some fireworks thrown at the officers. No word yet if anyone has been injured, but you continue to see them make this.
Is it a California flag? That's interesting, chat.
Clear these people out of the area or try to funnel them into an area where they.
Listen, chat, okay, so here's these other cops. Maybe she'll tell us who these are.
I want to say. And so the folks over there are being detained for not complying with the dispersal order, rather. So it would be very similar in this case if these folks do not clear out. So what I'm showing you here is a mix of LAPD as well as sheriff's personnel.
Sheriffs, okay. So I'm guessing the tan uniforms are sheriff's deputies. God, I gotta say, chat, even from way up on this helicopter, these cops still look like cops. They're
Peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
They're very cop-looking cops, right? These are the platonic ideal of cops that we're seeing down here.
At the center of the demonstrations here since Friday afternoon.
Take them out says I was there not long ago, had to leave, thought my car would get fucked up. Only seen one car getting fucked up tonight, so far. It's a peaceful protest. Somebody's like making fun of that idea of it being a peaceful protest. I gotta say, this is beyond a peaceful protest. It's a boring protest is what this is. It's going to be a little bit more exciting, maybe, because it looks like the cops have formed a skirmish line, and they're pushing back on the protesters here. But yeah, you gotta wait until something's on fire before you say you do the peaceful protest thing, Mike Crazy 88. Also, what does that 88 stand for? Does your heart go out to the Trump administration? Is that what you're saying? Does your heart go out to the? Cops, sheriffs, and National Guard. Don't know me. The National Guard, you're going to more likely see around federal buildings, right? So for now, the National Guard's role is to protect federal property, right? So we did see them out earlier from, some film from earlier today. We saw them outside of a federal building guarding the entryway. You're not going to see them in actions like this. At least not for now.
Once they're in the mall, with it being such a busy area, it would be difficult for...
Don't Know Me says, riots, exactly. There were buildings that got burned. I saw it right there on my TV set. And you haven't learned that the local news, that shit is catnip to them. I'm trying to give you a broader view of the protests en total. Right? I'm trying to show you, as I have today in the stream, what it looked like earlier today, and which was straight up boring. Straight up boring. The only exciting thing that happened was that there was a dance-off. There was a dance competition amongst the protesters. Other than that, it was boring. There were no illegal acts. There were no objects lit on fire. People were waving flags. They were chanting, and then they were dancing for a little while, right? The dancing was the only thing... the closest thing, like, I don't know, there might have been some illegal dance moves going on, but other than that, I don't think we saw any crimes. But go ahead and slime tens of thousands of people over the acts of like 2 or 3. Go on with your zero media literacy. Yeah, like I said, this is boring. That's my one comment about the protests in general. My one complaint about the protests in general. They are boring. I was told there would be a riot. I was told that LA was burning. The whole city was just on fire. And that's not what we're seeing. I feel like I might have been lied to, chat. Fox News, why did you lie to me? Why would you deceive me like this, Fox News? Quit lying? Do you want me to make up? Do you want me to draw flames on the video? Like, right? What are you saying? I'm showing you the live shot. This is what's going on. This is your riot, okay? And look at this overreaction. Look at the amount of cops there versus the amount of people, right? Most of the protesters, for the most part, have left. It's nighttime. They have gone home, all right? There are some people out in the street. You know, some of them seem to be protesters. Some of them are carrying flags. Some of them are a little bit more confrontational towards the cops than, you know, the people that we saw earlier in the day. And no doubt there's some people out there, you know, looking for a thrill, right? We saw last night the guy doing reverse donuts in his van with his shirt off. Tried to run down some protesters. I don't think he was with the protest. He didn't look like he was showing solidarity by trying to run people over.
Police units at 2nd and Los Angeles, which is almost like the tail end of the line of vehicles. Is it the tail
Here.
end or is it the middle? Oh, so if we just split the difference.
Do I have?
They're going to transport an officer who is injured.
I'm gonna have to literally download a JPEG or a ping of some flames.
So yeah, like right off the nose. We don't have to get as far as that helicopter up there. But
And put them on the screen. Flames. All right, let's get some flames. Look, I know you want I know you want fire chat. I'm gonna try to make that happen for you. All right, here's one. All right, let's bring up an image. Oh God, I got to do this for. Let me do this for. I think it's Shorts that really wants to see the fire. All right. Add source image.
okay, I think that's him here. Yeah, that's him. Simon Des, can you mark the tape? This is an injured officer. Somebody threw something at him and he got hurt.
Okay, there you go.
Is going to be transported.
There you go. Are you happy? You said stop lying to you. I'm literally showing you what's going on here. I'm sorry it's not more exciting, but there is a fake fire for you.
Watching. This officer here is off of 2nd in Los Angeles. LAPD officer, from what I can tell based off of the uniform. He was struck by something. Somebody threw something at him, likely one of the demonstrators.
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading radicals.
I'm hearing that LA City Fire Department.
Oh my God, I caught on fire. Chad, it's a riot. It's scary. Oh wait, no, it's a fake image.
They're working on it. I know that it has.
Here you go.
So,
is that better?
Stand up. So that's good. Unclear exactly what the extent of his injuries are, but again, from what we're hearing, is he will be transported to the hospital following an incident where he was struck by something.
I mean, to be honest, there's some, I don't mean to be mean or anything, but some of these law enforcement officers, you wonder how they pass their physical, like whatever physical test they have to do, right? So the reporter's saying that, you know, there's an officer down, there's an injured officer there. She's assuming that some protesters threw something at him, but I don't know, chat. His knee might have just gone out. I mean, these cops aren't exactly the most best physical specimens that you've ever seen. Anyway. That's your DEI. Yeah, that's right. The other thing that could have happened easily, chat, given how quick and loose they're playing with these rubber bullets, is that this might be friendly fire. Never underestimate, cops' propensity to hurt other cops. Yeah, CGI is getting so realistic these days. Those water bottles thrown were laced with fent, obviously. Yeah, clearly.
Off to the hospital he will go.
John frickin' Grammaticus, do you usually tell women on the internet to swallow for you? Is that like a thing that... Is that a thing that you do in chats?
I'm hearing the helicopter is saying that this is really the only activity they have left.
I need to get something to drink anyway. Maybe I can quench your thirst as well. Because you seem like a very thirsty chatter. Oh my god, there's still somebody in chat talking about chromosomes. Chatter, this is a Wendy's. We'll do biochem some other day. Maybe endocrinology too. It feels like a few of you don't know shit about endocrinology. But honestly, genetics is my favorite part of biochem. One of my favorite parts. I don't know. God, biochem's so interesting. But what's most interesting to me is the amount that, like, people think they understand things like genetics a lot better than they actually do when they come in and be like, there's only XX and XY. And then what does that mean? The exceptions don't prove the rule? No, by the exceptions disprove the rule is what they do, right? It's not an exception. It's an example of something that defies your narrow little worldview when it comes to human biology. Human biology is more complicated than you think, and human gender is way more complicated. So when we're talking about gender, we're kind of talking about culture too. And every culture has a different way of looking at things like gender. When we're talking about how many genders there are, the question is more like, how many do you need? And different cultures have answered that question differently throughout the years. So I would say that gender is something that falls under the broad category of social construction. Now, people hear socially constructed and they think that I am saying that it is illusory, it is unreal. No, I think it's very real. Like, language is socially constructed. Obviously, language is real because I'm communicating to you with it. I'm saying words are coming out of my mouth. They're going through the internet. They're going into your ears, and you're understanding them. Doesn't mean it's fake. It just means it's a little bit more flexible, maybe, than you're giving it credit for. A little bit more malleable. All right, like I said, the protests are boring. Amy Komari, thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Look at that. We're at 205 out as far as the butterfly goal. If you want to see me put some butterflies in my hot mess of a hairstyle, then you can yeah, we just need 3 more teal super chats. That will allow me to adorn myself with a butterfly for your pleasure. So yeah, we're at 67 out of 100. We're fully 2/3 of the way on terms of the bonus goal for having some bonus content. You can see the bonus content that we've got available right up there. If you're watching me on the horizontal stream, if you're watching the short stream, you'll have to come over to the horizontal stream in order to vote. We've also got a poll going on in the main stream, in the horizontal stream. You can vote for which of these topics you want to see. How governments spy on protesters, right? Elon's daughter on Hassan, Peter Thiel's Palantir. What's going on down there? Or Hassan at the protest today. So if any of that seems interesting to you, make sure to make your voice heard over on the No Comment Check on YouTube, the horizontal stream. That's where you can vote. And you can also let me know when you donate, or if you have donated, where you want to place your money. What are you supporting? What do you want for bonus content? And I will put your money where your mouth is. I haven't done that at all tonight. We got 0%, 0%, 0%. It's not because people aren't donating. They are. Nobody's just that nobody's like asked for the special service of having their their dono go towards something. So I just want to make you aware that you can do that if you want to. And it'll add a percentage. Whatever your donation is will turn into a percentage. That percentage will get added to the total score. Let's see where we're at right now as far as those scores go. Oh yeah, how government spy on protesters is in the lead with 62%. Second place, Elon's daughter on Hassan's stream with 21%. Third place, Peter Thiel's Palantir. And fourth place, Hassan at the protest. No one loves Hassan, I guess. I should tell Hassan he's over. So international here in Mexican pesos. Does it say Thai baht when you super chat? I figured out that was that's what decides if you're if you get the teal super chat or not, right? I think it's $3.25 or above. It's 100 Thai baht is what it is, right? So that's how it's established since that's where I am, and I think that translates to about 325. So it does make it easier for you to get those teal super chats. I think otherwise they'd be about $5. And we are 2 out of 5 for getting my hair adorned with a lovely butterfly. Oh, yeah. Good night, Pinstab. Oh shit, wow. All right, if you just or if you recently signed up for Discord, I'm giving you your roles right now. Skelts, you just got your role. Roy S, you just got your role. Pinstab, you just got your role, and you should be able to see the Discord now. Sorry about that. Usually we have mods that my mods that that have the ability to change people's roles must be on vacation right now. The chicken place closed too early? Oh, thank you, Ember Pines. That's really sweet of you. Sorry the protest is boring, chat. Again, if you want me to, I can make it more exciting for you. Woo! That's what you want to see, right? That's what you want to see. You want to see the woo, it's dangerous. Everything's on fire. It's a right here. Let's put the right there. There we go. The dumpster's on fire, everybody. Call Fox News. Somebody call Sean Hannity. We need Hannity. Get me Hannity. It's a riot. It's a riot, Hannity. The dumpster's on fire. Look at that. Woo, it's a scary fire. Fiery dumpster. Anyway, sorry I can't make it more exciting for you, but this is the reality. I'm just showing you, you know, random scenes from the protests, right? This is the difference between this and what you're going to see on TV is they will exclusively show you things on fire. They will exclusively show you violent confrontations between law enforcement and you know, all kinds of agitators. Are some of them protesters? Sure. Some of them you know, so some of them are just people, thrill seekers, probably so too. We had one guy do backwards donuts in a van last night, trying to run down protesters. I don't think he was a friend of the protests. I think if anything, he was somebody that was looking at the protests negatively. But yeah, this is the reality of what's going on. This is the mundane reality of what an actual protest looks like. Here, I'll try to make it more exciting. I can tell people are getting bored here. The fuck was that? AP had another fail stream, it looks like. What do they got going on now? Does not look like the AP is live with anything at the moment. I'm trying to find actual networks, right? Because look at that, car's on fire. That's, oh wait, you can't see it. You can, I'm looking at a thumbnail, chat, and it literally says cars on fire. Because that's what people want to see. All right, I'll give you some.
It was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communists.
And welcome back to Fake
invading
Out News at 9. We're taking another live look at protests against ICE raids over downtown Los Angeles. And this is a shot, as you can see, where a number of protesters are still
So chat,
on the streets.
this isn't live. This is from like 46 minutes ago.
Show of force behind them, as you mentioned, Ruta Bay, LAPD.
And there's the sheriff's deputies and the LAPD.
Ventura County, we saw in that line of at least 3 blocks, it looks like, of law enforcement there to provide support.
Yeah, they made some arrests. We had reporters on the ground talking about that. They made some arrests. They appeared to be peaceful as far as we could see there on the ground tonight. And it appears to be calm right now, at least in this area that we're seeing. And a far, far different picture from last night. This is now day 4 of these protests. And it does appear calm at this hour, at least from this vantage point.
Yeah, certainly not the chaotic scene that we had last night with 5 Waymo vehicles on fire, tried to set a CHP vehicle on fire, and sporadic fires all over the place in downtown Los Angeles, spread out in different areas, which was, very difficult. Okay, somebody just looked like...
Like I said, when the cops are concentrating on
come from, I gotta go back and look.
Quashing a protest, right? They're not going to be able to respond to actual crimes.
There have been fireworks.
Like arson.
Oh, it's a fire extinguisher.
Okay, well, you know what? Our Tom Wade is in downtown Los Angeles. We're going to go to him now, and Tom may be able to give us some information about what we're looking at here. Hi, Tom.
Hi there, Pat. Yeah, we just walked up on the scene right now. We're at 2nd and San Pedro. I think you were just looking at our aerial shots from here. Yeah, can you? Yeah. Also, we're on the ground here, and sorry, there's just a lot going on here. This is the highest concentration of people that we've seen, and it definitely has
so many cops. It's unbelievable.
Here in this area, and police do have the area locked down pretty closely here.
Oh yeah, good night, BCAT K.
It certainly has tension. Sorry, I'm trying to stay away from people yelling profanity. Yeah, there's definitely this is definitely the highest concentration of people that we've seen since the crowd dispersed, was broken up from the area around City Hall. Now it sounds like there's almost like a street takeover kind of. It looks, I can't see from my vantage point, but it sounds like someone was maybe doing burnouts just a few feet away. I can hear them making an announcement right now. Police, I believe, are ordering the crowd to disperse. So I'm trying to get a sense of where that's happening, which is, I believe, right down the street. You're looking at the vantage point there. This is Little Tokyo. Someone just flew a drone over the crowd, and that is going to really upset police because they do have their choppers up and they're pretty low. That was a firework that just went off. I see projectiles being thrown. I can't.
So chat, if you see an explosion like that, that's from.
But you can see the fireworks going off.
That's going to be from the protesters' side, right? That's going to be.
I see a number of Mexican flags being waved.
If it's spread out like that, if it's colorful, that's from the protesters. That's a firework, right? If it looks more like sparks and it's more like kind of limited and concentrated, that's a flashbang.
It's very difficult to discern that right now.
If something gets shot and there's a lot of smoke coming from it, especially colorful smoke, that's usually the tear gas or a smoke bomb.
The crowd can surge, the crowd can move. It's a very fluid and difficult situation to be certain. Now someone's firing off fireworks into the crowd. That is being fired from someone's pickup truck. I can see them. They're shooting it. They have like a launcher. They have a launcher. Do you see that, Anna?
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
It's a Roman candle.
Yeah,
Well, you know what, Tom? I'm just going to say this.
Isn't that what it is?
See that line of law enforcement, that's behind LAPD there. There's almost a 3-block
maybe,
long.
yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if they're going to move in.
The thing is, oh my gosh. I mean, I don't see how they can let this go on much longer the way this is going. This is too tense. I mean, there's just too much right now that could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if we just see, there could be officers that are lined up somewhere to rush in. Oftentimes, I mean, obviously you've got the chopper view, so I can't see everything around us. But oftentimes officers are in places we don't know where they are. And
I think I saw Luffy D. Monkey in the crowd. Somebody had like a straw hat.
Very quickly. Certainly, this has to be
Some of the counter protesters also shoot fireworks at the main crowd, like the campus occupying protests.
And Tom, we're seeing these cars on the ground. Are these?
Oh, counter protesters. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get across to people. Is that
protesters? Can you tell who's in these cars around you right now?
When you've got people agitating, you can't. It's hard to know what side they're on.
Who is here to, who is here, you know, protesting, and who's here just kind of for.
So just like seeing the protests on television might spur some, you know,
but
some people sympathetic to the protests to come out.
There's no organization.
It can also spur people who are against the goals of the protests to come out. And that's what Funkmaster Kaw was just talking about as far as
clear sort of organizations and leaders and people kind of guiding and you know, obviously the outset of those were very violent, but the you know, first couple of days, but then things for the weeks that followed were very organized. They were very
the newsman makes me want to puke. What a worm.
That doesn't, in this case, it just doesn't seem like that. That doesn't mean it's not as legitimate or anything like that. It just means that it doesn't have that feel. It has more of a chaotic feel to it. You know,
Matt Jackson, more people ruining this great country. Matt Jackson,
do seem to have a pretty strong
freedom of speech is what makes this country great. The one thing that the United States has got going for it is freedom of speech, freedom of expression. I can tell that people like you are willing to give that up for the illusion of security. And that is why we have.
And right now, what we're seeing some officers get out of their vehicles. I hadn't seen this before until now. There is a line of LAPD that are right there at the front, and they haven't moved. It appears that they're trying to make sure that people don't get past them where they are. And when we bring Mike back in here, he can probably give us an exact location of where they are right now from the picture we're looking at here. So, Tom, they haven't moved, but again, they may be trying to keep them from going past them. But certainly, if they need...
You're missing the huge movement of cops that's happening right now. Are you sure? Oh, Snow Angel. Yeah. We're okay. I got what you're saying. All right, let's see if we can find that.
You know, there. One man just.
Is this it?
Said, "Is this a block party?"
LA. Okay.
Sort of to the point.
No, that's not it.
Before, which is that, you know, it's kind of hard to know who's here to protest and who's just kind of here. Yeah, I mean, we're just in that holding pattern right now where it just feels like something's going to happen, whether that means the police are going to move in or whether, you know, we've seen some fireworks being shot off. We've seen people who are just kind of waiting to kind of see what happens next. So we're just trying to get a sense of, you know, where that goes.
All right, so you're at San Pedro and East 2nd Street. That's what we're looking at. That's where officers are. You know, what we were talking to Mike, he was describing what happened last night, where we saw quite a bit of vandalism at a number of businesses, at least 3 that were broken into, which is, you know, Tom, when we were talking about the differences in protests and the organization, you know, what we did see, unfortunately, in 2020 is a lot of people just taking the situation into their own hands, even spreading out. Remember going to Santa Monica, Melrose, and breaking into stores and using that as an opportunity to vandalize.
There was a lot of looting in 2020, and I remember in the days, you know, we'd have the really bad violence at night. The next morning, the business owners would gather. They'd be upset, understandably. So we had the 3, you know, yesterday, the 2 shoe stores and the T-Mobile store that all got looted pretty badly. Now, where Tom is at 2nd and San Pedro, that line of police officers, which is, by the way, I want to point out, mostly out-of-town law enforcement. It's mostly Ventura County sheriffs that are there, and some CHP officers. They are all lined up on 2nd Street going to the north. So they are occupying basically from 2nd Street through Los Angeles.
All right, so chat, we were watching something that was not quite live. I think this is live. There's no sound here. Somebody's telling me there's a large movement of cops that I'm missing. I am
100% sure if that's where Laura was or if this is the other side of the protest. where people are just milling about. They're just standing there. The good news is we're not seeing the lawlessness that we saw last night with people doing things like throwing rocks. Now, throwing fireworks, illegal fireworks, that's not great. But yesterday was just so incredible with the lawlessness and the recklessness, seeing things like a reckless driver, seeing things like people that I just don't think that they were there to protest ICE, but they were on an overpass looking down at CHP vehicles and then tossing chunks of cinder block or concrete down onto the freeway. So that's not what we're seeing tonight.
I'm sorry, but she's bearing the lead, chat. The cops were using the freeway as a staging area. The cops were blocking the 101.
Against the policies.
And yeah, the people in Los Angeles are going to get a little irritated. Whether it's protesters or whether it's cops that block their highway,
they are saying that
people are going to get a little irritated.
Is not allowed, and that's why the president says it is time to bring in extra people. And
oh wow, this is a Fox affiliate. Look, sometimes somebody being a Fox affiliate doesn't really mean anything, right?
Santa Ana, we had been checking that out.
But this Fox affiliate is glazing
They've now
the felon-in-chief up.
Basic vicinity where we are before. Clearly police are still there as a presence, but because we're seeing those passenger cars, it suggests that there are aspects or parts of that Civic Center area where they are allowing cars. But that skirmish line is going to mean business. It's going to send a message to anyone that perhaps wants to congregate somewhere where the police do not want them. Pointing out that City of Santa Ana had acknowledged that they were aware of ICE raids in the...
Yeah, who was telling me that there's a movement of cops that I'm missing?
And made a point to say that law enforcement was not there, was not in Santa Ana to aid in any way the ICE agents, that the feds and the local law enforcement, they are not working together. That could be a way to turn down the temperature with those that are demonstrating against ICE. But on the other hand, anytime you have a big group of people and you need a skirmish line like that, you need the police presence, that is oftentimes what needs to be done in order to be sure to keep the peace. And again, a lot of these people have seen what happened last night in Los Angeles. I'm sure they want to make sure that that doesn't happen here. Meantime, we're watching as that...
I'm gonna mute these chuds. Let's see. Let me read some chat here. Argathol says it's also an organic uprising unified through direct, demographically targeted oppression. So the protest itself can be pretty varied in terms of tactics and actions. Yeah, true. Oh, that's what we're hearing. Okay, so... it's the sheriff's department. Again, chat, even when it's not boring, it's boring. This is roughly the same scene, I think. Just lit differently. No, it's not. It's somewhere else. That's not live. Yeah, this is about the highest concentration of protesters we've seen in the nighttime, you know, nighttime version. Oh yeah, I should show you this. Like I was showing you the longan earlier, like the fruit that I'm eating here. This is how it comes, right? It's grown on trees. These trees, oh my god, I lost one. These trees have branches, and the branches have these little baubles on them that when you crack them open, oh my god, if I can, oh my god, chat, it nutted. It's kind of messy here, but anyway, you have to not squeeze too hard when you open them. Otherwise, they just make a big mess everywhere. But yeah, this is what's inside of that that shell. It's like a jelly fruit and a seed on the inside. We're still 33% of the way from getting some bonus content. I'm sorry it's been such a strange stream. Usually I talk about that whole bonus content aspect a lot more. What is going on here? Oh, they're giving us the 5-day forecast. Wait, what the fuck? It's hard to tell like what's live. This is definitely live though. So here's the movement of cops I think that people were talking about. It's the sheriff's department in green, the LAPD in black or dark navy, and they do look like they are ready to disperse some tear gas. You can tell by the and in general look, I mean, there's probably situations in which this kind of gear is actually necessary. But when you gear up like this as law enforcement, yeah, look at all those zip ties too, right? When you gear up like this as law enforcement, you don't tamp down the protest, you actually inflame them. You actually escalate them, right? It's, you know, people who study crowd psychology will tell you that, yeah, that's why a lot of times when you see, at least at first, the LAPD itself, they came out with minimal equipment. They came out in squad cars rather than the more militarized vehicles, and with the intention of trying to de-escalate. Now, with the feds acting as crazy as they are, and as inexperienced and incompetent as Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security, Immigration, Customs Enforcement, and FBI are, it was a mess. They absolutely inflamed these tensions. They absolutely created a larger conflict, a larger, a more severe conflict than what was actually there. So in terms of whether a protest turns into a riot, a lot of that more than you realize depends on the behavior of the law enforcement there rather than the behavior of the protesters. Remember, with the protesters, we're dealing with crowd psychology. With the cops, ostensibly, they're following a chain of command. So in terms of holding people responsible for their actions,
Because it was so peaceful up here, but now there are freaking communist invading.
and the effects of those actions, it makes more sense to hold the law enforcement responsible. Again, this is, what law enforcement's doing is intentional. They are following orders, right? And depending on whether these are county cops, these are the sheriff's deputies mixed in with some of the LAPD, whether it's local or feds, you're seeing a different approach, right? The feds very much want to inflame things. The local law enforcement may have overreacted a little bit, but they're also dealing with cleaning up the mess that ICE and the rest of the federal law enforcement that's invaded the city has wrought, right? So overall, one thing that I've observed from this is that like it seems like on the weekend that the protest crowds were dispersing as night fell, and what you'd see at night was more of a confrontation between the law enforcement and limited numbers of whatever you want to call them. Like there's some protesters still there. There's some agitators that were counter to the protesters, like that guy in the white van doing reverse donuts and trying to run protesters down. And some people that wanted to do some more direct action, some direct confrontation of law enforcement authorities, right? That's what we were seeing over the weekends. Now it looks like, it's almost 1 o'clock in LA right now. And we're seeing a lot that the night protest is a lot more peaceful, but also a lot larger. It does seem like a lot more of the protesters are still here at this point. You see the California flag over there. You're seeing the Mexican flag. There are some people who have Mexican/American flags. I can't tell. Is that Uruguay? I'm not good with flags, chat. That's not Argentina, is it? Let's look what Uruguay's flag looks like. No, it's not Uruguay. It's not Ecuador. God, I'm not. Argentina. I know what that flag looks like. Chile. It's not Chile. Paraguay? Nope. What's that flag that looks kind of like Argentina, but it's a little bit darker blue? Anybody know? Sometimes Americans give me hope, says Burple. The wildest shorts since pre-election. I'm sorry I wasn't looking at chat more. I hope everything is okay there. All right, so anybody left in shorts, we're going to merge the streams now. All right, the short stream is going to end, but if you want to keep watching, click on that link, the link that I just threw in chat, and you can merge into the stream with the rest of us, all right? If you don't, maybe it'll automatically raid you in to the horizontal stream, but I can't be sure. So if you want to stay with us, make sure to click that link and switch streams manually. I'll give you a little bit more time. Is it Nicaragua? Let me look it up. Let's see what Nicaragua's flag looks like. I'm learning flags tonight, chat. Yeah, it's Nicaragua. It is definitely Nicaragua there. That is the darker blue. I was all like, it looks like Argentina, but not quite. You know, for as ominous as this scene looks like, there actually isn't much happening right now. You got it. Nice. You can also watch me on Twitch if you want to. I'm nocommentchick twitch.tv/nocommentcc if you want to watch on Twitch. There's some options for you. With that, chat, I'm going to end the short stream for tonight and merge us all into... I'm going to merge us all into the horizontal stream. So I will see you over there. Here we go.